Yo, yo, yo. What's happening, folks? It's your man Jaguar. Had to put the old Mac back on it because you wouldn't find my channel unless I gave you the old Mac or you typed the old Mac in the search, man. So decided to put it back on there, man. What's good with everybody, man? Salute to the chat. You know what I'm saying? Wanagi, Young Cherokee PZ, Full Outside Help. You know what I'm saying? Miss Seeker, the Soldier Sis Star, Scotty Saturn. You know what I'm saying? When Nagi was happening, man. Have power, man. I got him in the building. What's good, bro? You already know how we do, man. You've been dropping major bombs lately. You know what I'm saying? You had a good build yesterday, even though the brother didn't know too much of anything, he got, what he needed to hear. Even though he didn't have any sources and nothing like that, we still gave him a good amount of work for him to go home with and try to build on if he chooses to build on it, man. But salute to that. Um, A1 been getting it in. Corey Mayo been getting it in. You know what I'm saying? Dropping bombs, images. Um, Dane Calloway, you know what I'm saying? Still doing this thing. That Harriet Tubman video was powerful. You know what I'm saying? I
It
know
was it was real. It was power.
it was power. You know what I'm saying? Even though, I gotta admit, you know what I'm saying? Like Chief Holiday was telling people, you know what I'm saying, for the longest, like, yo, the Harriet Tubman story is fake. You know what I'm saying? I gotta admit that, you know what I'm saying? He really did say that, you know what I'm saying? But Dane brought forth great evidence, proof. You know what I'm saying? The deal with the signature, Harriet meaning this and Tubman meaning that. You know what I'm saying? And then the mark with the X showing that it gives consent to the state or whoever colonizing you. Like, yo, this is what it's about right here. You know what I'm saying? Really showing and putting forth what these mistakes, that we made and how it affected us today, man. You know what I'm saying? That story, of course they made a movie out of it, and it's just the you gotta think how it play on people's minds. You know what I'm saying? Like just like Roots, all that stuff, man, is just a bunch of storytelling. that they want to make reality through Hollywood. And here we are today, man. But you know, he killed that. And if you haven't watched it, check it out. You know what I'm saying? Chief Holiday channel steady growing. You know what I'm saying? They be on their building. You know, they have to beat a couple people up here and there, but you know, for the most part, it's been solid builds, man. I know he did a 24-hour live, he did a 12-hour live, and I'm just trying to figure out, hey, how is he doing it? But it's all good, if that's what they choose to do. But I know now, they trying to charge for going live. I think they only give you like 20 hours, man, free. So, I don't know if Chiefs them paying for that or what, but either way, you know, we got to start utilizing our time a little bit more solid now because they putting a limit on how we can go live. You know what I'm saying? I know me and AP was talking, man. He about almost at his limit and stuff. So we just got to really utilize the time for what it's worth now. You know what I'm saying? Got to get more solutions involved, get more activated, and get more involved in our families and community, man. It really is time for that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to them, man. Shout out to Dr. Ali Muhammad, man. He does his things too. Like y'all know, I've been gone a while, so I just been watching, sitting back, trying to take care of business, you know what I mean? Taking care of the children, myself, the community, just really trying to get everything in line like I needed to, man. So when I can get back, I can really have something to offer and something to celebrate with y'all. Cause I like to actually put in work. I'm really not a talker. You know what I'm saying? I like to be able to have something to show or give to the people when I say anything. I just don't want to give my opinions. I don't like to give, uh, uh, any type of influence on anybody's life that that doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I like to give what matters. What I feel like people need the most as far as where we at, man. So you know. But yeah, shout out Dr. Ali Muhammad. He been working out lately and stuff like that, man. Even though he believe how he believe, he still drops a lot of knowledge and a lot of information that we can utilize, especially in law and just with astrology and different things like that, man. There's other people like that too, man. I like to do Alcorn, man. He was on yesterday. He's pretty sharp, he pretty smooth, man. I hope he stick with us, man, so we can really, really keep it going, man. And we need all the people we can get. We still need numbers, because YouTube ain't just enough. You know what I'm saying? It has reached the streets. I will tell you that. You know what I'm saying? I know people in my area, they finally like, yeah, trying to get back in the family reunions, people having, family meetings and stuff, doing family businesses. So in my area, I see it happening and I see it working. I know AP told me a little bit, some of his people got some stuff going on, you know, and it is what it is. That's how you keep it rolling, man. Shout out to Remedy H. I don't know if anybody know him, man. He do pretty good on some spiritual stuff, man. Nice guy, pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? He really does talk about a lot of things that those people on the spiritual side want to hear, man.
You got somebody backstage, yeah?
I do. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the other thing. All right. Word. And I probably throw the link in the chat too, man.
I probably throw the link in the chat.
Yeah, muted, bro. Okay. Yeah, I probably throw the link in the chat in a minute, man. For anybody that might want to jump in, man. Like I say, man, I'm just kicking it.
Yeah, and you're right, man. We got to start dealing with these solutions and start utilizing our time a lot more, and really start being more proficient. You feel me? And methodical with our planning. Shout out to the OG Libra son, man, the hardest working man behind the scenes. Shout out to the OG Libra son.
That's right, man.
But
shout out.
Absolutely. So Jaguar Obeck, man, you've been gone for a minute. you ain't really dropped no lives in a hot little second. I see you brought the OMAC back on your name. So how you feeling mentally, spiritually when it comes to this information, brother?
Well, I mean, it's all good with me, man. Like I said, I live it, so you know, it's nothing for me to stay sharp and keep my mind, you know, on high awareness of what's going on with my people in the world, you know what I'm saying? But the main thing is just basically trying to enjoy life right now, man. You know, just looking at all this stuff, looking at all,
Right.
looking at everything, man, how it is, we still got a lot of work to do, you know. I think it's gonna be more so us doing it for the children that we got, you know what I'm saying? Because our parents paved the way to just go to work and do all of that hard working for us, you know what I'm saying? Even though some of us had to do it, I've had to do it, you know what I'm saying? It's mainly just trying to find the most, simple and best route for your life, man. And you know, that's why I say I've been studying more on astrology and just trying to get more and see what's going on with me and my family. Even though a lot of people may not look into that, but to me, I see it as a way to examine, the mind and characters of people. You know what I'm saying, and how we influenced and what things can make or break us. You know what I'm saying? Uh, a lot of times, you know, it's just that, and it ain't nothing really too much, man. That I mean, y'all put out so much information, it keeps me. It's kind of like like when you play the game or something, man. I can put on one of your lectures, A1s or Court Mayos or what I'm saying, anybody, man, in the community pretty much and feel good to know that, I got people out here like me, man, that's willing to speak up and that's putting in the work, you know what I'm saying? So I just been really enjoying life lately, man. Been going through a few ups and downs like everybody else, but that's only for you to learn, this ain't, you're not gonna stop going through traumatizing or radical stuff, man, just because your lineage or if you have a lot of money or if you know what I'm saying, if you just feel like you in the best place, like you still gonna experience things. So that's why I like to keep everything solid and keep everybody, you know what I'm saying, uptight, man, to where we still alive and we still actually applying this work. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times I can look in the chats and I can look in certain lectures or whatever, man, and it seems redundant. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes, I can go to Chief Holiday show and it may say live, but it may be an old show, which is cool, because they just really trying to get people caught up. I mean, it's been a lot of information on Chief Holiday channel that like, because for a while, I know about 2 years ago, last year or whatever, we went on his channel for a whole
Every
month
day.
straight, every day.
Right.
And
And mainly it's because we was getting a feeling before for some of the YouTube. A lot of our channels was getting blocked and copyright strikes and was put on situations where you was on strike for 30 days or 90 days. So
right,
it kind of funneled us to one particular channel, and Chief Holiday and Ty Data kept up the ranks with pushing out this incredible Aboriginal information, man. So we just really got to keep doing the due diligence and keep getting back to the foundations. As a matter of fact, we came out with the encyclopedia, right? It was BU and A1 constantly going into this particular book about culture, origins, contributions, and customs, okay, and traditions. I think it kind of went over a lot of people's head, but eventually it was a slow burn into people's resonation. Uh, we plan on going back to this American Encyclopedia Bill. We haven't finished it completely, so we plan on running back through it again and giving y'all more uh, exclusive breakdown on it and tying other articles and facts along with what the encyclopedia is saying.
that's right. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, literally, man, that one book still. just is just it's like a thunderbolt for anybody that just don't know anything about America, man. And like we said, man, it's we ain't even finished yet, and it's just so much in it that you can apply and actually utilize because it's already sourced up. You know what I'm saying? It's undebatable, you know. And it's just real time, man. You know, we doing a lot of those things that's in that book today, man. That's pre-contact. I mean, that just says a lot, man. You know, so it's really more so us just applying what we know and making it work, unifying. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that A1 and Court Mayo was able to settle their little disputes. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing major. It was just a misunderstanding and a misclarification of things that they needed to discuss. You know what I'm saying? And it happens sometimes. Me personally, I think it could have been done sooner. You know what I'm saying? Because I know both of those guys. Both of those guys are my brothers. I'm never gonna speak highly of anybody that I don't deal with and not allow them to actually settle their piece. You know one against one another. You know what I'm saying? Like those two brothers have done tremendous work. And
Fact.
I'm not gonna sit here and allow one word or one situation to keep these brothers divided, man. You know what I'm saying? That's just something that, sometimes you gotta give it time, let people think about what it is that they're doing or what it is that really matters. And I'm glad it happened like that, even though, that was on that 24-hour stream. I don't even think it's up no more. So either way, you know, that's a whole nother story. But it just shows how we all gonna have differences, man. That's why I don't even too much discuss religion or nothing like that. Because if you go to church, that's for you. If you go to the mosque, that's for you. You know what I'm saying? If you don't do none of that, that's for you, man. It ain't like you can't actually deal with somebody and have some decent behavior and some decent respect to actually make something better for you in another person's life, man. It's just that simple for me. Now I know for a lot of people, they had to grow up, you know, dealing with certain circumstances, defending themselves, or having to associate themselves with certain ways just because of their neighborhoods or whatever their family may have been doing. That's just like, me and AP was talking earlier, you got these guys who out here on the streets, you know what I'm saying, still young, you know, still trying to push a little, crack or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Meth or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You got to think. When I was out here years ago, I already knew the one child or the one, person who had to grow up in that type of environment or whose parents may have been on those type of drugs. If those children decide to sell drugs, they always get the best way and they get the best handouts. If you got parents and you in the streets and them guys see that you don't really need to be out in the streets, you're gonna have a hard time in the streets. Point blank, period. I'm just keeping it real. That's for all the young people that happen to come listen to this. You know what I'm saying? I know ain't none of our people, what I'm saying? We been past that. You know what I'm saying? This is just some real spill. You know what I'm saying? I just gotta go there because the music industry, you know, this is where the problem is mainly at. I don't know if anybody caught the letter that Crazy Bone read about the letter about 1991 about how they was trying to redesign rap or hip hop. Um, it was something about they had major A&Rs and producers and rappers and uh, uh, distribution owners that met up and actually to discuss how they was gonna change the rhythm of the rap music. Because at that time you had KRS-One and uh, what was old boy them called
You
dang
had Rakim and
Rakim, uh 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 Public Enemy. You had just a numerous amount of people who was really giving good positive music. You know what I'm saying? So he said that they came up. They sent out a letter to certain individuals and certain artists and people to actually talk about changing the rap game. And long story short, he started discussing how it was basically all being funded by private prisons. Now, here we go. Okay, boom. Right here today, right?
Yeah, you're right, Black Wolf. It was Big Daddy Kane and Rakim them. And some of the things that they did, some of the hip hop is they didn't even use curse words. They was
Right.
very articulate.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? And you talking about really giving you some soul and vibes that really motivated you to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we just gotta be real, man. Shout out to the chat, man. Yeah, I see y'all in there, man, putting it down, man. Salute, man. Redbird. But yeah, man,
Yeah, shout out to Redbird.
it's plenty of artists that we done forgot about, man, that due to the music now, you know what I'm saying, even of course Pop, you know what I'm saying, he had his spills every now and then where he give you something. Like I say, Brenda's Got a Baby is one of the one of the most classical tracks ever, and probably one of the
I got a question. I got a question for you. It's about hip hop, urban hip hop.
Okay.
How do y'all feel about the diss that the brothers from the Wild 'N Out show did against Eminem? And I see a few people in the chat talking about Eminem. Me personally, I don't like Eminem. I don't believe I believe he's way overrated. I don't believe he's nowhere near top lyricist in the hip hop.
Well,
I like to see it.
I ain't gonna lie. When it comes to actually rhyming, nah, he is top notch. But I'm not gonna say as far as his concepts and everything he give you is the best. No, definitely not. Hell no. But how his wordplay is and how he can keep his rhymes up, I will give him that now. I ain't gonna front. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is, I think it's overrated, right? I believe I can't front neither. Eminem say some shit, it's okay. It would not get no look. It would not get no credit if it was a Rick Ross saying it, right?
Right.
Or any other brother saying it. It's just he's saying he's white and he's saying shit that we don't expect. Let's be clear. Right. He don't really do shit for our culture. I believe Nick Cannon and them made history by going at Eminem. Okay, I believe they had a lot of substance in it.
Yeah, I gotta peep that, man, because I ain't caught that one yet. Now I did, catch the other thing that they try to throw out there or whatever, but that's on some other stuff. But yeah, that's deep though. I mean, because I did hear what Eminem said on that Fat Joe track. Now, you know what I'm saying. I did hear what he said. You know what I'm saying. He did. He went at Nick now, but like I say, I mean that's part of the game too. Nick was a rapper. He still basically, he got his show and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
yeah, he's an entrepreneur. I won't call him no rapper or nothing like that.
Yeah,
which he's not really no rapper, but at the same time, a lot of people hold that white boy at a higher level than what they hold their own melanated people, and it goes back to that same inferiority complex. A lot of people usher in these white people, but lock the door on some of these upcoming black artists. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's bullshit.
That's true.
If we start putting our people first, then we'll be a lot better off.
Well, that's automatic. You know what I'm saying? Like we already know. I mean, they're just like now. I mean, even with Eminem, he's relevant, but he's not relevant. You know what I'm saying? It's still, our people, our artists, our singers. You know what I'm saying? Will always keep the shine and keep the glory. I'm just being real. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I like the baby. You know what I'm saying? To me, the little guy, he talented. He got character. He animated, and he really can rap. So it's about what you can, it's just about you being you, man, because everybody ain't gonna come and speak even, the truth. Say, just to make music. It's just about making people feel good in certain aspects. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
It's about that vibration. And me personally,
Yeah.
I don't have no problem with Eminem. Me personally, I don't listen to Eminem. And I've never really ran
Right.
around nobody that been like, hey, throw that new Eminem on. Or what you listen to? I'm listening to that new Eminem. I'm listening. I've never heard that in my life, yo. I'm just real.
I agree. Now I ain't never do that. So now I have to admit, when Renegade came out, when him and Jay-Z, I did bump that. I bumped that almost every day when I was in school. Like, I don't know, that whole vibe to that song, even though it was like a demonic vibe, I admit, but at that time, the Twin Towers had just fell and all that shit, man, niggas, we was wilding. So that's just how it was. I was listening to the Locks, State Property, you know what I'm saying, Dipset, you know what I'm saying, DMX, you know. But then you had really the conscious music was coming from the South, and some of the few brothers in the West. You had a few other brothers from the North spitting consciousness too, though. But a lot of it coming from the South, like Goody Mob and Outkast and you know Killer Mike and them, man. You know what I'm saying? They brought a lot of the stuff.
Right. And a lot of people, you're right, Red Bird. I did see the interview with Lord Jamar did say a lot of origines don't listen to Eminem. But I can't say a lot of people don't. We all heard Eminem songs, but he was pushed out there. You see, you see what I'm saying? But at the same time is I only know a few songs that was on the radio that I heard growing up. And when he was ushered in, it was a lot of crazy hip hop going on. When he was ushered in, you had a lot of hip hop. Yeah, black people all making hip hop useless, and it sounds like bullshit to your ear by hearing all the nonsense and negative in it. But you got to understand, our people is only expressing what they feel deeply inside of them due to indoctrination. So they only expressing this through indoctrination. If it wasn't no Europeans here on our land, we wouldn't be spilling out half of this lyricism and situations that our people be in. When you hearing hip hop, you literally hearing firsthand situations of what's going on in our neighborhood. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, we really got to be real with that. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't no colonizers here, the colonizers, would our hip hop, how would our music be then? You see what I'm saying? We only expressing what our situation is. And Royce 5'9" is fire. Royce 5'9" is fire though.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm
He
saying?
better than him to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people better than him, man. I ain't gonna stunt. Shit. I mean, I just be real about it. I see Black Wolf.
Some people will argue that Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time. I've heard that before.
Well, that's just people who like to. That's people. You got to ask them. Okay, well, what is the best thing about rap that they like? And if they give you their concepts of what makes a good rapper, it probably wouldn't be the same as ours. You know what I'm saying?
If you go back to old rap, right? I mean the beginning of rap. Before I'm talking about Pig Meat Mark, right, from Alabama. These people was just rapping basic shit throughout their day, shit that they seen, shit that they was doing. You feel me? So, hip hop is a culture built on aborigines. You feel what I'm saying? And just like anything else that we do, we always find some people that's culturally appropriated into our shit. You feel me? That's
Yeah.
trying to assimilate themselves into our culture. And then our people put them on a pedestal. Look at 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine is a Puerto Rican that was a blood. First of all, that can never happen in California. There's no Puerto Ricans that's blood. Let's be clear. You feel what I'm saying? They let him in, man. He's a Mexican, Puerto Rican, something. That shit ain't supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
He make a bunch of music talking about nigga, kill. And niggas bump that shit.
Yeah, but we like.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why I say. I mean, but that's what they want. That's what they gonna put out. you know what I mean? They're gonna give them the hardest beats. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why I brought up that letter. That's what the whole movement was about, to change the game into that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, luckily it's just you got some soul people here who still like real music. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it wasn't for that, man, just think about it. I mean, the whole time Michael Jackson, you know what I'm saying? Like, when he really got on, the man probably like the man was doing concerts, people passing out and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't you know what I'm saying? I don't even look at it
All I'm
as
saying is we got a lot of foreigners that come into our situation and then down our people. For instance, 6ix9ine, he came in as a blood gang banging rap, and I've never heard him say, "Oh, I killed Mexicans, I killed Puerto Ricans, I killed Spicks, I killed wetbacks." No offense to anybody, but the brother said he killed niggas. He used nigga in more of his lyrics than anything else. I heard nigga in that man's lyric more than any other word,
yeah, well, see, I
and
ain't never
he's not even a nigga.
I ain't never really listened to him, so I wouldn't have really known all of that, really, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Yeah, who said Black Thought? Who said that? Black Wolf. Black Thought is. I just heard one of his freestyles. He's probably one of the greatest lyricists of all time. I'll put him up with anybody. I mean, shout out to the brother Young Cherokee Peasy. But hey, Eminem could not stand in front of Black Thought lyrically.
Yeah, I see Cherokee PZ for him all day. I mean, that's why I say. I mean, that's just certain people, man. I mean, it is what it is. I can't tell you. That's your opinion, man. I'm not gonna sit here, and say, "Oh no, he's not," because he is for you. You know what I'm saying? So that it is what it is, bro. But he's definitely not the best rapper to me, man. He's not even over Nas to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right,
just
right, right, right. And this is all goes back to a matter of opinion, really. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah,
everybody's entitled to their opinion. Me personally, I believe Lil Wayne is the greatest rapper of all time. But that's me personally. People can argue with me and say somebody else, Jay-Z or whatnot. But
well, I mean, that's why I say, to me, it's all about music that can really inspire you to do better. You know what I'm saying? I really don't have like a favorite. I just have rappers that I listen to at certain times. I ain't gonna act like I don't listen to just messed up music. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I might even listen to Black Youngster or whatever. But I ain't out here, you know what I'm saying, doing none of this shit. It's just I might work out on it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's all about the vibe, you know what I'm saying? But some people really is at levels to where they mentally and try to physically play these things out in their life. And that's why I say, um, a lot of those rappers did come from troubled situations. You know what I'm saying? Now a good bit of them didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, from my understanding, Lil Boosie, his father was a preacher. You know what I'm saying? Already damn near a millionaire or whatever. So that's what I heard.
now you right. You right, bro. And Young Cherokee Peasy. Now you right. Rakim and Eric B. They are some of the greatest lyricists of all time. And I wanna make that clear. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of lyricists out here. But like I said, the foundation of hip hop goes to the South. If y'all ever never heard of Pig Meat Mark, y'all can type it in. Pig Meat Mark rap. Markham, excuse me, Pig Meat Markham. And this brother rapping in the 50s, in the 40s, spitting,
Okay.
freestyle.
I mean, that really is something that I know my family always did. I come from a family of musicians, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my grandmother then was singers and stuff like that. So I know AP saying they used to freestyle sing. So, like, I mean, it's just, it's just the vibe you on. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I say, I don't want to get too opinionated. You know what I mean? That's why I say I like to just keep it solid, man. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. That's a
But
fact. And hip hop is an opinionated sport. That's why people can sell out all over the globe and still make a living with the
that's right.
diversity within hip hop. So that's just a conversation between the family. Like we at the house and we talking, man. So that's just the family in here. We having a conversation about
Yeah,
shit that we think about our opinions and shit. But yeah, man, like I said, more importantly is the overall gist is stop letting these motherfucker foreigners come into our situations and then we putting them on a higher pedestal as some of the older melanated people that's been working. Okay? That's the overall point.
yeah, man. I mean, that's that is what it is, man. I mean, we see it. It ain't hard to undertake. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people come in, man, and mimic us and do how we do, man. But I mean, it is what it is, man. I think even good. I think Ti even got a Asian type rapper, man. The dude, I'm talking about, he talk and act just like us. You know what I'm saying? He might have grew up like that though. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be able to just swag it out like that if you ain't around it. You know what I'm saying? But the brother, you know what I'm saying? I ain't really heard his music like that. I heard one song, but you know, I mean, the way of the world now, you know what I'm saying? People really is intrigued by a foreigner that can rap or a foreigner that can actually, bust them, dance or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you even got Aboriginal guys who sponsor these same foreigners. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. We got to stop doing that and look at more towards our own. But people in it for the money. You know what I'm saying? People see that they can sell or make more money across the world with a foreigner instead of a Aboriginal, then that's what that person gonna do. Me personally, I'm gonna stick with us. If I can find a foreigner to make money that's with us or whatever, I probably would too if I was in the game. You know what I'm saying? It's just really about business then. But it's about us really making a stance for us here on this channel, on this platform. You know what I'm saying? That's why we do what we do. That's why we like to unify, and so we can create our own rhythm and situations and systems and foundations of how we can control what we do. We need our own contracts. You know what I'm saying? Trip was right. We need our own flag. You know what I'm saying? We need our own institutions. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily to institutionalize anybody, but just our own educational systems, so we can actually build each other up the right way. You know what I'm saying? Homeschooling, whatever. Like I said, I've been saying this for a long time, and it's happening. People are doing it, and it ain't hard. You know what I'm saying? Now, getting a curriculum, if you're trying to be established as that, then it might cost you a little money for that. But other than that, I mean, who's to say we can't create our own curriculum? Because we the indigenous ones. We the aboriginals. We have that right. They can't take that right away from us. You know what I'm saying? So it's just about whatever we can do, man. Like I say, um, you know, it's real out here, man. The world is big. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us are actually gonna have better opportunities and have better situations, even if we leave America. That's just real. It's even in, it's just destined like that. You, what make people think? Okay, what make you think just because in your area that you born in that you gonna meet the love of your life in that same area that you born in? Like, do you really think that that one person is just gonna really be in the same area you born in, or would this person possibly be in a whole nother country or in a whole nother state? You see what I'm saying? It's just
Right.
about, we gotta live, man. You know what I'm saying? We gotta live. You know what I'm saying? It's not about
Is there somebody else
necessarily.
in the back?
I don't know. I know I sent the link out to a few people, man. Let me put the link in the chat. See if I'm gonna put the link in the chat, man, for anybody want to jump in while we just freestyling real quick, man. I got some things I'm gonna try to get into, man, but right now we just kicking it. I just wanted to get back in, man, because it's been a while, get everybody, tighten everybody up on what's going on, man, and just really break down what we can do, man. Like I say, I'm more on just really business and law. You know what I'm saying? That's the fight right now. That's the fight. That's the war we really losing. Business and law. Spiritually or whatever, you can do whatever you need to do. That's the thing, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not about nobody uh telling you what to do. It's about what's best for you and using what somebody can give you. You see what I'm saying? That's what this life is about, Nobody can control your destiny unless you allow them to. You know what I'm saying? I've been building with people, you know what I'm saying, who've been Nuwapians, Muslims and people who, is still in Islam or whatever. And we can have good builds because it's about really understanding where that person is at. Now, I ain't gonna lie, even with this information, you still have to know what's going on in other terrains if you gonna speak on it as a fact. You can't just give opinions on other terrains just because you only know about America. You do have to know about other land masses. That's what's gonna make everything solid. This is what true work is about. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about being institutionalized. Okay. You don't gotta be in jail to be institutionalized. All right. You can be in a prison within your own relationship, like real talk. You see what I'm saying? The things that you put boundaries on and set upon yourself, or what you allow to set upon you, you know what I'm saying? Or let somebody else, tell you. That's being institutionalized, you know what I'm saying? So it's just about really being clarified and breaking things down on a level to where people can really use it. That's where we at now, man. So I'm gonna get into a few more people, man. I wanted to shout out to, man. Oh, Huey P, man. Huey P be going in too, man. His channel, they go in, on a lot of angles with how you look at life and how you look at, things to absorb or whatever, and it's pretty deep. You know what I'm saying? Huey P, those guys to be on his panel and him, man, they really do build, but you got to be at a level to where you kind of open. Some people different. You know what I'm saying? And as far as astrology, man, like I say, it's people out here who teaching it, astrology or astronomy or whatever. The thing with that is, basically just helping you understand your life. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about somebody giving you an actual blueprint to your life. It's just things that can assist you along your way. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing wrong with anything that can help guide you or give you something to look out for. I don't think so. As far as what it has done for me is work. So that's why I don't mind sharing at least a little bit of what it is. But I see we got somebody who just jumped in, man. Shout out my man Negus, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, Joe. I'm good, Joe.
Word,
Can you
man.
hear?
Yeah, man. You can build a little bit, man. Tell us, your name, where you from, man, what you got going or whatever, man. We just building right now.
Well, my name is Anigas. I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Peace. Shout out to Toronto.
I've just been studying, learning a lot about our people. 132 to drop, rap the news, religion, and studying a lot about what's going on in this world today. Just know a little bit about everything.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So do you believe that do you know who you are, your lineage? Do you know where your ancestors come from?
Okay, so when in my studies myself, I called up my father, my dad, right? And I asked him what part of where we from, and he knew from way back that we were the tribe of Reuben. So I tried to study what a tribe of Reuben, where they went to and how they got there, and I found out they're in South Carolina. And then when I found out they're South Carolina by my father's last name and my father's last name and his heritage, I found out that the Cherokee tribe was in South Carolina that got pushed all together with a bunch of other tribes all into one, right? And called Cherokee. It's now called Cherokee.
That's true too. That is true. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They did amalgamate a lot of the tribes due to war or just labor. You know what I'm saying? Made the tribes just accept the Cherokee title. You know what I'm saying? That wanted to now. That wanted to. But
I got a question. You say your family come from the lineage of Reuben, and they you tracked it back down to the America. Can you tell the people how you got came up with the name that your family ancestry lineages through, and how did you
So
track it down? What
I
source?
went through different websites. Went through a lot of different websites, trying to track out the lineage of Smith and where did that name come from. And I came down to some white dude who came into from the boats into South Carolina. And from what I was reading, he grabbed a certain amount of slaves, or indigenous workers, right? And from there, right, he shipped them off to he shipped some of his slaves off to different countries and kept some here. And he did that by transferring those people from not to because the way the oceans work, right? You can get to a certain place, but you can't get back because of the tides. Not the tides, but the way the water works. So what they did is they grab a whole bunch of our people and ship them down to the Caribbean, right? And when you ship them down to the Caribbean, that'll be Jamaica or South Carolina. It'll be an easier flow back over to Africa or in that region over there. So it would be easier for the boats to go that way than to come back through the other way because the water and how the water works in the cycles. So that's what happened, and that's how my father ended up in Jamaica. Right? My family was being ready to be pushed out of Jamaica and being brought up on boats. But before that even happened, they were already free. They became free during that one civil war where he said all of our people are free. But that's another story.
So yeah, that's what's up, man. So in other words, you pretty much heard your lineage, who you are, was through the Bible.
Was through the Bible?
Yes.
Well, no, I learned that I learned my where I'm from my father, and then I looked into the Bible to find out what was going on. My father is pretty.
Tribe of Reuben, ain't that part of the 12 lost tribes of Israel?
Yes, you're right. But I didn't know that when I was younger. I did not know that until I got older. So most of the information that I got now is through studying and trying to figure out what is real and what's not. But my father told me when I was younger, I was from the tribe of Reuben anyway. I just now realize it is a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. That when Moses came out of Africa, what they called Kemet back in the day, he left there and went up towards England, right? Just in that area, and I'm just talking about the areas going up from England, and from England, most of the tribes split up. So they split up from there. So one went across the sea, the other one went up across the northern peninsula, and the other ones went towards Russia. That's how you get the Chinese and the Russian blacks there. And when they went across there, Beg your pardon?
What
Go
if
on.
somebody was to say that story is just a story? It didn't literally happen. There was not a literal Moses that didn't ever split a literal sea. How would you say that? What if you would say that?
Oh, that's their opinion. I looked in and I've been trying to research if those stories were factually true or not. But I'm getting my information from pictographs, documentaries, such things as that to verify what are people gone through, right?
Right. See, me personally, I don't believe in the stories literal that's in the Bible. I don't believe Moses was a literal person. I don't believe these tribes are literal tribes of people. I've never heard of the tribe of Reuben in America, especially in the Carolinas. So if you just want to elaborate on that a little more, that'd be cool.
Well, there's a lot of people stating that we didn't come over here or anything like that. But if you look through the history of where our people traveled from outside the 12 tribe, just outside the 12 tribe, just look for how our people gathered, you'll see historical evidence. And then on top of that, if you look through the Egyptian pictographs and such things, they even speak about tribes and Israel being one of them, those people who are being one of those people who that are written in the scriptures. So what I did was I looked through the pictographs to see if the stories were plain and true, and then I looked through documentaries to see if anybody else had any other written documents of these people coming through. And then after that, I found to look more further to find out where they've gone and where they went. So it wasn't like I said, the journey of what I've gone through the scriptures is proving that the scriptures are technically correct. So what I do is, I read and then I found out if there's any evidence, and if there's no evidence, then it's not factual. That's just basically where it is. Like, I don't go on nothing for nothing. That's just believing a story just because someone said it.
Right, and that's what I'm on. So just to help you go into a little more of your dialogue for the viewer's sake, what source would you go to prove that Moses even existed? You only heard about Moses through the Bible, Torah, Tanakh, or one of these religious texts.
Well, there's a couple documentaries on Timeline that speak about how Moses and who Moses is, and then there's 432 The Drop, which has a whole bunch
there's a lot of documentaries that's going to be. I just want to know, in the documentaries, they kind of tell you where they getting their information from. So are they getting it from sources at the Bible, or are they getting it from sources outside of the Bible?
No, true. What's it called? Well, I can speak on that too, because when people ask me where I get my sources, they're going to ask me where that sources get their sources and their sources get their sources. I'm just speaking about the sources that I get my sources from. Where they get their information from, I don't know, because most of the people don't tell me where they get their sources from, right? But at the same time, I research what they say. Like, if they're saying this happened, then you have to back it up at least 3 times. You just can't believe everything they say. You get a little truth about what's going on through different types of videos, and you find out what the lies are, and the lies and stuff that comes through different types of videos and books and such not, right? So you have to keep on reading. It's not a one sit there book, read all, that's it, done deal. You have to keep on reading. You have to keep on studying. You have to keep on looking. Hell, I come to this channel because, one, I want to know more information, more nuggets, more tidbits, a little bit more drops here and there about what's going on with our people and our indigenous heritage, and how I can correlate with that with the stuff that I've been reading. So,
Word, man, that's great. Cause actually, I'm glad Cormeo put it in there, because actually the Kachikel does have stories that are similar to the Bible. especially as far as creation and stuff like that. Even in the book, the Oasfe, I think it was actually recorded by a historian who actually went to the Kachikil tribe and actually created the Oasfe book. And then also Medicine Man showed a great breakdown, and I think it was the I can't remember what series it was, man. It was one of his first series though, man, where he actually showed you Mayan uh pictures and stories on the creation stories and how it was similar to what they gave you in the Bible and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Also,
UB News is a good one too.
yeah, UB News, man. You shout out to UBTV. I was gonna get to him too, man. He always pretty much show you correlations. You might have to mute your mic. Okay. He always show good correlations of the Bible and how it relate to here. You know what I'm saying? So I can really, he's very good to back up with that. He actually, he don't mind, doing actual dating and actually tracing down where the people was at and if they move. And then just not only that, but certain tribes here who have stories of migration that relate to the stories in the Bible and stuff like that, man. So, and then, it's like I say, Plato, he told the story, you know what I'm saying? The Popol Vuh creation story. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different actual, things that are in tribes, and some things are oral tradition. You know what I'm saying? Some things is through
Oh,
oral.
100%.
You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
and I believe that, too.
Like 100%, I believe that too. Well, what's it called? When it comes down to what I'm thinking is that, like I said, you get the little drops and little crumbs here and there, and you find truth within the crumbs, right? So if we just keep on studying and keep on, like, you know what I mean, going through the works, we might find truth in everything that comes together and put it all together, and then we find the whole truth and nothing but the truth. But if we keep on taking little pieces of one book and calling it truth, then we're never going to find the source. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're all here trying to do. Is trying to find the source, where all this come from, how we are and where we be, and what we need to do to get the hell out of here. Straight.
That's right. That's right, man. And you're right, man. Like I say, I'm glad you said Con Drop, because I definitely was gonna get to him. I was gonna kind of save his stuff for last because he been putting a lot of updated info out, man, on what's going on with these androids and stuff like that. And that's why I've been trying to tell people about these DNA tests, man. Y'all better watch out for that shit, man. I'm telling you, don't be listening to these clowns trying to trick you into proving you got to take a DNA test just for them to say, oh, well, you did it. That ain't nothing, man. These people can do whatever with your saliva, do whatever experiment they want to do. So if you see an android walking and talking, looking like you or whatever, then don't say Jaguar didn't tell you. Don't say Con Drop didn't show you what some of these super tech organizations are doing and shit like that, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and I've been saying it. I've been saying it once they came out with that quantum physics computer that was worth about $20 million. Shortly after that, Stephen Hawkins died. He was already pretty much hooked up to a computer. Uh, so I believe they definitely on this new tech wave to utilize it against us.
That's right, man. You know what I'm saying? That D-Wave, you talking about that D-Wave computer. That motherfucker is supposed to
It's
just
supposed to be able to. It's supposed to be able to pick up your thoughts, cipher it, and then translate it.
that's right.
Well, they already have a computer that already does that. They put it like I'm not too sure what it's called, but they put it on your head and it translate actual video of what you're seeing and what you're feeling on live screen. They have that technology. It's out. I just looked it up on Amazon. They're selling it.
Yeah, I think. Damn.
You see what I'm saying? So this is why we got to get together, people. You know what I'm saying? I try to keep it on a level to where we can make this shit fun. But You know, if this shit gotta be scary, I mean, if that's what's gonna make us move, then so be it. I mean, cause y'all really gotta think about that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's time for us to get back on our shit. I mean, like, real talk. I don't care if you, I mean, real talk. I don't care if you work roots or you goddamn do whatever, man. Like, we need all that right now for our protection and for our goddamn unity and for our prosperity and currency. Like, straight up. It's just time now. It ain't like we totally outnumbered. We totally out financed. I mean, we gotta use all we can use. I'm just being real, man. Like, it's a war out here, man. And it ain't getting no better, man. These opioids are everywhere. You know what I'm
They ain't
saying?
do nothing to us.
Shit. Exactly. You know, it's all, you know what I mean? It's just real out here, man. I'm gonna put the link in the chat again, man, in case anybody else want to get on, man. Uh
Well, shout out to Caramel. He's up in the chat here. What I see.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Corey Mayo, Opie Mihai, Sioux Nation, salute, King. Eagle Hawk, Condor, Black Wolf, peace. You know what I'm saying? Hunter 4D, peace. Kiowa, what's up, man? Peace to you, King. You know what I mean? Kyle be beating people up too, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta watch out for OG Kyle, man. That's the guy, man. Shout out to the guy Kill. What cousin Reggie at, Kill? Shit, I know you ain't linked in with cousin Reggie.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what it's about, man. You know, but that's what's up, though, man. You know, like I say, it's plenty of. That's why we got to connect, man. This is exactly why we got to connect. We got to actually utilize. They go Corey Mayo right there. Peace, King. What's going on, man? Give a little time to get right, but yeah, man, we got to utilize each other,
Peace,
man. Peace, bro.
peace, everyone.
Peace.
Oh, man.
Blessings.
You already know Corey Mayo coming in, man, dropping fire documentaries and bills, man. If you don't know,
That's
you
what's up.
should
That's how
already.
Caramel do.
What's up, though, bro?
Nothing, dogs.
Yeah, everything's cool. Thanks for having me, man.
You already know, man. It ain't nothing to it, man, but to do it. You know, I've been gone a minute, man, trying to get everything straight, man. I'm really about to I'm actually gonna go ahead and probably post those links. It'll probably be tomorrow. I'm gonna post them links, man, to actually get my product online, man, so people can actually order, man, from us or whatever, man. I got some hair and body products. Actually, when I get the links, I'm gonna actually show the product, so that way, you know, if you want to get straight to it, you get straight to it. But I ain't got the images that I want just yet, so just give me time on that. Um, Other than that, man, that's just what I've been up to, just really trying to get that in line and just taking care of these children, man. Y'all already know, man. It's real life out here. I still been trying to travel myself and see certain things. I actually went down by the Wateree River not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? And saw the mound that South Carolina University was excavating. So that was cool. You know, they ain't have much going on with it, but it was just, you know, something to go see. The energy felt good, you know, even though the prison was, it ain't too far from it, you know what I'm saying? It's Watery prisons, you know, they still growing all type of crops and stuff down there too, man. Like on the prison, they growing all type of stuff. So it's real out here, man.
Well, if you're gonna do some traveling, you should come out to BC. See some nice mountains and water features.
Word, definitely, man. I done rode through DC though, man. We rode and stopped through DC. Mostly through the city. Like I didn't really stop like on the outskirts and like that. But yeah, I rode through DC, Maryland, Delaware, uh, Jersey. Um, you know, I'd have been to Florida. Of course, you already know Georgia is right next to me, North Carolina. The only place I haven't been is Tennessee, pretty much, in Alabama and the South. That's about it. That's about the only places I haven't been. Uh, yeah, I'm definitely planning on doing a lot of traveling this year, man. So I'm talking about real big traveling. I'm definitely gonna get to at least either Mexico or Costa Rica. So I'm gonna probably link up with you on that, Corey Mayo, man, and try to signify that with you, because since you already down that way, maybe you can at least, if I don't get to Costa Rica, at least probably you might get to Mexico or something. Works up.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'll
All
go up
right.
with you, man.
You already know, AP. You already know we gonna be moving around anyway. We trying to hit the whole East Coast and try to make it to the West, man, over there with Chief at. So we trying to make moves this year, man. Trying to really get this stuff activated, because its numbers is growing, but we still, we just gotta let people know it's solidified and we out here, man. And really set up some business plans and schemes for each other so we can really solidify our nation straight up, you know. But it's people out here already in tribes that we can really deal with, if they willing to help, and you got your shit together. I'm pretty sure they'll mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's all type of ways, man. Ain't nothing to it. You know? But yeah, man. Cormel, them images you dropped, man. What's up, man? Speak on it, man.
Oh well, yeah, just the good brothers of up there in Canada, the American Aboriginal Society, composed all these books for us, man, and they didn't ever think, yo, I'm gonna make money off this or sell it or put it on Amazon. They just straight up put it on the archive.org website for everybody to download right away. I mean, the dude, I mean, I talk to him all the time, so he goes through mad, like he takes his time, and it takes him a long time to compile this stuff. And a lot of these images we already saw on the internet. We didn't know who they were or their names, so he's putting all that together for us. This is just the first volume. He also informed that J.P. Morgan actually had 44,000 other images that they were never released, and his thing expires this year. He's supposed to release them to the public. Well, not him because he's dead, but whoever is holding his stuff, it expires this season. So maybe we might see some other pictures that we never saw. And of course, these are like pictures from what we got from the 1800s. We know that they were here already for like 400, 500 years. So a lot of things had changed by the 1800s, but in general, you can still see these are all copper-colored tribes that a lot of them might not look like what you think what a Negro looks like, but there was all kinds of peoples here, and if there was mixing, there was, but we have to prove that, that's what I'm saying. Like we have to just get out of that whole complexion thing, and because this is what people honestly, this is where people came out of. So who looks like who? It's more like they look like us.
Right. And that's true. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause this is the old world, you know what I'm saying? So of
And that's
course,
what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. People got it confused. Like they say, "Oh, Africans came over here. You got it backwards. We went to Africa. Oh, we look like the Africans. No, Africans look like us, right? And various other groups of people over the planet is going to resemble us because of our impact that we left there, and through a ton of different sources and data, you can prove that our people left her at a certain period of time. Not because we really wanted to, it's because something forced us to. And it goes back to that catastrophic event story that you hear uh, in these religious texts, such as the Great Flood, uh, Sodom and Gomorrah, and various other things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the flood story is a great example. I mean, if we really look into history, we'll see that like that really it seems like that only happened in not all the world, but in certain specific regions. And of course, this is the old world, and this is where most of those old civilizations were during that time of catastrophe. So that story is being carried out around the world. It ended up in the Bible too, so that's what we're trying to say. It's like you are the book. It's not that like a Bible was written first and then you came, no, but these stories were already here, They go.
Right. Even before the Bible, you got other texts that they will call religious texts that you see, such as Babylonian texts, right? Sumerian texts. You definitely see the presence of a science, and not just a accumulate and build of the science, but a group of people or a particular science coming out of nowhere and making a great impact. You don't see no gradual science in Egypt. You don't see a gradual science in Mesopotamia, Turkey, China. You don't see a gradual buildup. You just see science. Then you see agriculture. In America, you can see a gradual build. Okay, you got shit that we tried and error. That was trial and error. You know, we got things that we tried, it didn't work so good, so we tried it another way. And that shows experience and literally developing the process of the science that we see manifested today. We invented it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And these stories were, shared and orally and passed down because it was one of that's how the ancestors are able to, keep the history. They pass it down orally. I mean, these people, went all over the world, so these stories are being passed down and were passed down. Like you're saying, like Babylonia has the Epic of Gilgamesh. That's the Noah story and so many other things. Like if you break it down, so it's kind of like the same story. Uh,
Right.
and, and you're right. The scientists, when we were growing up, they would tell us that Egypt is a legacy because they have no proof of the development of how they started building pyramids or agriculture or creating the civilization. It just come out of nowhere. That's what they used to tell us when we were little. That and then they try to add the aliens and all that stuff because they have no explanation. They want to throw you off. They don't want to give you the foundation or the source. And we're breaking that down every day. Every day we come out with new information. These books. There was real archaeology being done. There's actually archaeologists that were using the old Picto Egyptian glyphs to read the Mayan pictograph. They were able to read using that, so they were able to see that it was basically similar, and it shows that where the origin was really. So we got to go further deeper back. I'm not telling us here in the panel, but everybody else who does this and it's into the whole Egyptian thing and everything. That's going to be lead you closer to home. It's not We're not trying to tell you, oh, forget about this and that. I mean, you're just going to see it was all here.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? Once you actually know what the Egyptian world was like, that was the true Egyptian system and ways, and you travel through these lands and through Mexico and South America, you're gonna get the full description. Now you go over there to the other land, you only get one spot. So I mean, you tell me,
You're right. And no matter where they look, right, it's older spots, right? They got recently is Gobekli Tepe, which you hear me bring it up a lot, dealing with archaeology and some of the science. Uh, so you're gonna start combing through new evidence, and the same thing is you're gonna have to look for symbolism, right? You're gonna have to look for unique trades of astrology, and they depicted astrology using animals, right? And I showed y'all this at the particular pillars that you see in Gobekli Tepe, and I showed you the same exact symbols of astrology that you see in Levanta, right, which is the oldest Olmec site. You see the same thing. So if you pay attention to the symbolism, you will see the same symbols in America. You will see them in Turkey. You will see them in Egypt, and you can see them in Mesopotamia, and you can see them in Asia. If you was to trace the dots, you will see a unique pattern. You will see a very unique pattern leading you from the Americas. And it's just that simple. It's not that hard. People say, well, when did people go to Africa and when did this happen? Well, you could arguably say 12 to 13,000 years ago. Because geologists say that something catastrophic happened 13,000 years ago, right? Uh, Mainstream and contemporary scientists also tell you that one part of time at the western tips of Cuba, where we find underwater pyramids, there wasn't water there 12 to 13,000 years ago. Okay, so that means something catastrophic had happened 12,000 years ago. We can go to ancient texts such as Plato. The brother Corey Mayo brought up Plato. Plato said, telling the story that he got from Solon, he said something happened at Atlantis, at this particular region, right west of the Pillars of Hercules. Something happened prior to him, which he said 9,000 years before him. He said that in 3000 BC. So if you look at it, 3000 plus 9,000 is 12,000. It's impossible for ancient history to be giving you the exact time and location that contemporary science has. That lets you know that the shit is on fact.
That's right. You know, and that's I mean, it don't get no solid than that. You know what I'm saying? That one mark, evidently something did happen here in America. You know what I'm saying? So, and it may have caused things to happen in other places too, but who knows? But the thing is, these ancient historians and archaeologists and anthropologists is proving that same exact dating and system and story. Like I said, you look at the Bonaparte murals on them walls, and they clearly show. I mean, it's just too much evidence for me, man. For somebody to still be, going against all of this. It just doesn't, you know. I'm not gonna waste any more time trying to explain anything to anybody that actually will say, "Yeah, my grandmama said we was African," because your grandmama wouldn't have said she was African. She would have actually gave the tribe would have been Igbo, Wolof, or Shanti, or whatever in that western region that they call those people. And actually, those people are really from America. Okay, so you still, I mean, let's just be real, man. Like, and the man said his grandma had done bad. Like, certain things you just gotta really listen out for and pay attention. You know, talk about the guy T West from AP's build yesterday, man. The guy, I think he has like 80,000 subscribers, man. And I mean, literally talking nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Now he does do good on his political bills and stuff like that, or whatever, on that type of stuff. But we all know the gyps of that. That's all a hustle. It's all business with that. If you ain't got no business, you ain't even got no business to be talking about no Democrat or Republican Party. Real talk. You might as well just fall back and keep living your life and hopefully developing something with us. Shit.
Right, and it really wasn't a fair fight yesterday, man. And I didn't. If he would have showed sources and would have been more aggressive on the data instead of summarizing a bunch of bullshit, then we could have got to a good discussion, man. But yeah, man, he lacks sources whatsoever. So, you know, we run into people like this occasionally, man. So it's really about unifying our people and incorporating things. You know, it's several different stories and legends and empires that we don't know about. Uh, Queen Mu, you feel me? The Montezuma. We got to get into a lot of other stories. We got to get into the Khan dealing with the when they was dealing with the spiritual deities, the staff god, right? The Inca and the staff god. So, you know, it's a lot of information we got to dive into.
That's right, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we it's just now it's still beginning. Like I say, we still looking for numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, now they actually watching the time limit on your live streams. They saying they only giving people a free 20 hours. So it's about really coming to bring that work, man. I'm finna try. I've been trying to pull up this Atlantis book, man, because I was trying to get into it. But if anybody got something they want to build on real quick in the time being, I'm just gonna open this book up. We'll probably get into it for a little bit, man. Just give me a sec. Uh,
Yeah, you're right. They work. So this YouTube platform, they're working really hard to make sure they limit, the people like us, and how this information gets out there. They'll try their best to add on, all kinds of restrictions to the videos and all this stuff, and they won't promote it as much as they promote all the other garbage, that has millions of views. Like for example, my last videos, all three of them, as soon as I uploaded them, they're talking about they're not suitable, for viewers and stuff, that blah 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 they determined. And if you've seen them, what would be not suitable. And my other video, with when I'm showing the East Coast tribes and the Shinnecock and all that, they gave me an age restriction, so nobody under 18 can see it. So what is so bad in these videos that 17-year-olds?
YouTube been doing that here lately, man. Before you go live, you gotta answer all these age restriction questions before
Yeah.
they even allow you to go live. So I don't know really what the new process is with YouTube. But the thing is, man, we got to start generating some type of feel face to face, man. Maybe we can do an annually cookout and really start prepping for an annually cookout and really get up off our ass. Let's go meet and build with each other face to face in real time, talk about real time solutions and strategies. And maybe that's something we can look forward to doing this summer, man, is meeting up as family at one particular spot, barbecue, maybe over a course of a weekend, and just be able to dialogue and hear some good builds face to face.
Yeah, that's true. We just gotta be able to, like, I guess, respect each other's like what each other's researching, and not see it like in a way that anybody's pushing anything, a specific thing, because it's all info. Info is not like, I mean, they break it down into different things, right? They break down the truth, they separate it so they can confuse us, and they create certain things into religion. They create other things into, like a false history, or they'll call it fiction or whatever. But I think that us, like, as since people are watching us, we got to come together and try to understand each other, what we're trying to say, you know.
Right,
Uh,
and our research is all leading up to one focal point, man. We've been at this shit for a while. We had different waves of people try to destroy the information, stop the wave and the frequency of the vibration, and we just prevail. So, I mean, who would want to come to one particular spot where you can uh meet 100 different Aborigines face to face and get to see some of your favorite people that drop some of this information face to face, and get to meet and greet and have these conversations. You know what I'm saying? So who won't want to see a Corey Mayo, a Thompson's one, a Chief Holiday, a Jaguar? You know what I'm saying? An AP, all at one particular spot, dropping locations, eating, enjoying ourselves as family. You know what I mean? Like we do normally over the YouTube. You see what I'm saying? But in a close environment. I think that'll be dope. I think that'll be something that we should definitely work towards and try to put on the table for this year, 2020.
yeah, I think, see, people seeing us unite, and working together. I mean, that's a big influence, and that spreads.
Man,
And
that's gonna be a big input. And not only that, you'll see other people that's not in our particular community looking, because we are not gonna be in a private setting. We'll be at a public park. You see what I'm saying? And we'll have people coming up and we'll be enlightening them on what this situation is or what this particular event is, and how it ties to the average melanated person in America or whatnot. So yeah, I think it'll be dope.
It'll take at least a couple months planning, but we can kick it off.
Yeah, I don't think it's hard. You know what I mean? It ain't. The most we'll have to do is travel a little bit, and I think it'll be dope to do it over a course of a weekend, maybe a 2 day event. You know, or or possibly even longer than that, but definitely over a course of weekend.
Word,
Well,
man. Definitely.
we all
Definitely.
have the channels. We can all publicize it. We just have to make a date and then make it public.
That's why I say we gotta,
That's
just
dope. I think we need to have a big build on the back end and really start, coming up, working up with this for the family, man. I think it'll be dope because it's going to be a big impact on our community. It's going to show that we can really come together and unify and drop exclusive information and still work on real time solutions as a whole that we can work towards. So we all on the same page. We ain't in separate uh uh focal points of where we're trying to go. So I think it's well needed within our community.
That's right, man. I can definitely help with that and get sponsors and just whatever we can try to get, man. That's something we definitely got to do in the back. We can set a date for that, maybe sometime after the live or whatever, man. Real easy, like it ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's nothing. So, but I got a little bit of this Atlantis up, man. I'm getting some of this Atlantis bill, man, so we can clarify basically what we all been saying to these people who just don't believe, you know, uh, that Atlantis is in America. Let me get my screen share right quick, man. Right. Y'all can see my screen.
No.
No, I don't see nothing yet, brother.
All right, let me see. All right, hold on. All right. What about now?
Yeah, I got it up.
All right, all right. So yeah, man. Like I said, y'all already know. Y'all want to chime in or whatever, man. I'm just gonna go over this part real quick. It's kind of where we left off at. I'm gonna go over some of this real quick. Get into how Plato described Atlantis and into some of the pictures that they got for us, man, and basically what Atlantis, what America has to offer. Of course, most of this is Central America and in the islands and stuff like that. This is where they was excavating, but I mean, a lot of our families do have ties to those areas in the southeast region. Uh, all the way basically, southeast up to the east coast, down going to the, west coast, across, Louisiana, Alabama, Texas, and all that. Basically have connection to Mexico. I know Corey Mayo explained it on one of his bills. He got so many now. Probably I don't even know college. But I'm gonna get right here. We starting right here. So it would go. Plato described Atlantis as an island continent. Now, right there, okay, we already know that pretty much, even where we at, is an island. I can say that because to get to the next town, or maybe sometimes to get to the next block or street, you got to cross a bridge. You feel what I'm saying? So it's always some type of water flowing through these lands. That's why he says an island country. You know what I'm saying? These lands, this whole continent is islands, basically. You know what I'm saying? It's bridges everywhere, and we know this today. You know what I'm saying? You can look in your area. I'm pretty sure you might can look right down the street or something. It's a bridge. But either way, okay, island continent with a sophisticated naval culture at its center. A look at the globe, what they say, shows that only one continent could have had a seafaring culture at its center. Plato's tale about an advanced civilization across the Great Sea that was suddenly and forever destroyed was off target only in one detail, albeit a major one. Forever was too long a time. Civilization was destroyed. The capital and all the great coastal cities did sink. But the continent, after great flooding and great destruction, remained. That continent is what we now call the Americas. But then it was Atlantis. Okay. So right there, this is why I make my claim. You see what I'm saying? Atlantis is America. This is Atlantis. Like Chief said, we have Atlanta. Okay. It's off the Atlantic coast. All right. And it's other names that we have, even in certain cities that also that relate to the ATL or Atlantis. You see what I'm saying? Home to a seafaring people who had almost slipped from memory. Okay? Plato did not merely preserve their name, he put them in their rightful context at the heart of the golden age of myth. So experts have long been telling us that the golden age of Atlantis never existed. That delusion and worldwide floods never happened. That the sun has never varied from its present path and glow, and that complicated architectural structures such as pyramids and astronomical observatories, common to civilizations oceans apart, are merely coincidences or exist in answer to an evolutionary imperative. These experts also told us that myths are old fables, stories by primitive man about a primitive world that he hardly understood. It is the experts who have not understood. And they got pictures down there that we got to get into. And like I say, A1 did a good build on the Atlantis, you know what I'm saying, with the thought or whatever. He did a good breakdown. You know what I'm saying? As far as what he had and what he gave, I felt he did a great job. You know what I'm saying? Much respect to him. You know what I'm saying? It's plenty of ways to go at Thoth. Because Thoth has a lot of influences from different cultures on what the concept of Thoth is. Even though it's the same in a lot of cultures, some people call him Tahuti, some people say Hermes, some people, Trismegistus or whatever. And then that also goes in with the certain times that people was calling this type of figure or energy or wisdom or however you want to say it. So at some point in time, it could have been an actual, person calling himself that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's just about, showing and proving. But all that is showing that, that he said that he got his knowledge from Atlantis, point blank, period. All right. So it said, if we of the 20th century have been living in a conspiracy of ignorance, we are not alone. The process, the process has been going on for 2.5 millennia. So, I mean, that just proves, it's just been going on for a while. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing to it. You know what I'm saying? It's just been going on for a while. All these fake stories trying to dismiss us, trying to reclaim civilization started here or there. This is something that's been going on probably for centuries. You know what I'm saying? Just like he said, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody want to be the best. So if I was wanted to control you or enslave you or feel, make you feel inferior to me, I'm gonna say, well, yeah, I created it. I gave your people that, or we did this for your people or whatever. We supposed to be trying to, we come here to get it back. But that's not true, man. There's people already here in this well civilized, well nourished, well, I'm talking about everything on this land, man. Like straight up, man. We just gotta give it to each other, man. Like they said, people followed the creeks. Why they call them the creek people. They knew where the creeks was at. You know what I'm saying? The creek had fresh water. It's filtering through the rocks. Ain't nothing in the creeks, but what's supposed to be in it. And most people who did live by the creeks did have a certain nutrition that they had to abide by because they lived by those creeks. Whatever bacteria or whatever that they had ingested for many years, their body got immune to it. So this is another effect of diabetes and sickle cell and all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Transferring people from one location to another out of out of brute force. But either way, we got right here this Atlantean Tola Valley of Mexico. This is a picture. It says the Greeks were always in awe of Atlantis, the man god who held the sky above them. His domain as a son of the sea god Poseidon was far away. Said Homer placed the mountains that he dwelt in far out in the Atlantic. Today we can see 15-foot tall sky-bearing Atlanteans in the artifacts of Mesoamerica. So that's what that is right there. You know what I'm saying? And that's fire. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we'll read a little bit of this. It say in Plato's Timaeus or Timaeus, the Egyptian priest warned Solon, "You Greeks are all children. You have no belief rooted in old tradition and no knowledge, hoary with age. And the reason is this: there have been and will be many different calamities to destroy mankind, the greatest of them by fire and water, lesser ones by countless other means. You remember only one deluge, though there have been many, and you do not know that the finest and best race of men that ever have existed lived in your country. You and your fellow citizens are descended from the few survivors that remain, but you know nothing about it because so many succeeding generations left no record in writing." Okay, so they even telling the Greeks where they coming from. I don't know if anybody caught that, but you know what I mean. Saying they came from here. All right, so yes, myths are older than megaliths. They are also the reason for their construction. There is no way to date a myth, but we can now date some of the delusions and conflagrations that gave rise to myth. We can now begin to appreciate ancient knowledge that found in its expression in the myths of the world, and we can begin to understand its precise and immense demonstration in ancient architecture. And if we can prove Darwin in his denial of catastrophism wrong, we can begin to understand that the great events that predated our sorry or wonderful existence. All right. And the next chapter, we will finally take a longer look at our earliest written source for the myth of Atlantis, Plato, and address his telling of it in terms of what we know about geography, oceanography, and early map making. So before I go, anybody got anything they want to say about what I just read? All right, so I just keep going for a little bit here. All right. They say, where was the Atlantis of myth? If you are presently upright in any part of the Americas, you are standing on it. Plato tell us in the Timaeus and again in the unfinished Critias or Cretius that Atlantis was a real, not imaginary island continent, and that it was located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, Straits of Gibraltar, in or across the Atlantic Ocean. Now I just sit up and said that. You see what I'm saying? In or across. Question. It is an important distinction. Most scholarly translations from that of Sir Francis Bacon, a proponent of Atlantis in America in the early 1600s, to Sir Desmond Lee, the Cambridge mentor whose work on Plato led to his being knighted in 1961, place Atlantis opposite the strait or as the opposite continent. So, you know what I'm saying? Hold on, I think. Let me get back to this screen right quick. Add, all right, I got
All right.
and
Yeah,
got yeah,
I got disconnected, man. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to say, man, that's deep. You know, like right there. You know, I already know the Greeks and Romans and all that, where they really were. You know, originating. You know, that was deep what you said right there. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you really start going into history, you know, we got to see who were really the Greeks, who were really the Romans, and everything. And we every time the Greeks, these ancient Greeks, reference you know, America. I mean, when they're talking about their mythology and history, they're always talking about almost all the time. They're talking about Atlantis. They're talking about over here, and they're referring to the Americas as the Western Ethiopians. So there's always a distinction between the Eastern Ethiopians and the Western Ethiopians.
that's right, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, I'm glad he just made that clear. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've been trying to say. And of course, just showing and proving evidence, man. These guys are doing the same thing we pretty much are doing through research, but these are actual excavators because they are archaeologists and anthropologists. Ivor Zapp and George Erickson, I think, did a good job on this book, man. You know what I'm saying? Salute A1, man. Peace, King. What you got going on, big bro?
Peace to the guys, man. Since in the gym and shit, just got a little late start. I've been there for a minute. I was listening for a minute. I just ain't. I just finally just started chatting because my hands wasn't free. But yeah, I was actually the same thing about you said, the Rock of Gibraltar, the Pillars of Hercules, right? Yep. I found that funny because the Rock of Gibraltar was I think that was the last stand of the so-called Moors that was over there in Europe. But when he said the Rock of Gibraltar, he also talking about, like you said, Atlantis or the Atlantic Ocean that comes all the way out. So I found that to be interesting. I actually it's a video on YouTube, and it's called something about it's something about Atlantis, right? But it's they trying to say that Atlanteans, it was white people with blonde hair. You know what I'm saying? And they talk about the civilization and everything. We already know pretty much what the civilization and where it reached from. You know what I'm saying? I think the landmass that we on is because he said Central and South America. He said North and South America would have been considered Atlantis, but I do believe it's a large part in the ocean somewhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's the remaining of it is definitely in the ocean. So shout out to the brothers, man. I'll mute my mic, man, because I'm about to start.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'll be back.
There's a piece that went under. I agree. That went under. But the colonies, they had all parts of Central America and South America, even North America. That's all of this was Atlantis. That's what they referred to our kingdom as, Atlantis. But yeah, there was a part that's under, definitely. And we gotta go into those stories. We can't just ignore what they were saying about why Atlantis went down and what they were doing and what they shouldn't have been doing, because that's an important thing about it. We can't just ignore that. We can't just say, oh, we were all just chilling over here. We were all doing good things and we were all together. But no, right. there was things going on here, and people were warring against each other, and some people were doing crazy shit, and something happened in that part of Atlantis that went down, that Thoth even writes about, that he said he had to bounce. So, they were doing certain things that maybe they weren't supposed to be doing, maybe technology or something. Something was going down and something happened, and they had to bounce. So we can't forget that part. So, we definitely were in different regions. We weren't all in one place. So, not everybody was, down with the whole, wherever Thoth was, that was an empire, that was a kingdom there, and there was other kingdoms, all over the Americas. But yeah, definitely there was a part that's still down there, man.
That's right, and that's what I know AP was mentioning about, like with the underwater structures in Cuba, and I think somebody might have mentioned seeing some stuff by in Puerto Rico or whatever, man. Probably, like I say, man, like we got to look at it again. What they called it, secretion. You know what I'm saying? Just water rising, or like they saying here, 12,000 years ago, some type of event happened. So the land is still there. It's just certain parts of the land is covered by water. So there really was no separation of land. We got to look at that. You know what I'm saying? And who's to say? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much covered up just with certain lakes and stuff alone, let alone oceans and stuff like that, man. So we just got to be mindful of that. This why we getting into it, man. And shout out to y'all brothers, man, because the work is a must. It's been great work. You know what I'm saying? Like the so-called atheists who really ain't an atheist, the God Killer would say, organized lie defeats a disorganized truth every time. And we proving it here. Our information ain't the best organized. And we all know that. You see what I'm saying? So, of course, to the public, an organized lie will look better than a disorganized truth. That's what he really saying, because they the one keeping the organized lies. You know what I'm saying? How you bang, when everybody was African, oh, you against academia, but now we know we hear from America, oh, now all of a sudden it's academia. I mean, let's just be real with that. You know what I'm saying? And we got actual proof right here from two people who actually doing the work. So I'm gonna keep it going. It says here, it says in or across. Question. It is an important distinction. Most scholarly translations from that of Sir Francis Bacon, a proponent of Atlantis in America in the early 1600s, to Sir Desmond Lee, the Cambridge mentor, whose work on Plato led to his being knighted in 1961, place Atlantis opposite of the strait or as the opposite continent. Okay. But Ignatius Donnelly, translation of Plato, in his heralded and popular 19th century work, Atlantis, the antediluvian world, translated opposite continent as an island in front of the straits, a phrase that has led to much misunderstanding. Okay, so y'all seen the difference of how a well-placed book that was highly, held up high to the world, that one phrase just made people look at Atlantis as if it was just an island. See what I'm saying? Whereas when Sir Francis worked, he showed that it was basically just a continent. So, it's just stuff like that, just simple stuff can cause so much confusion. But it says, for brevity and clarity, we will present the following excerpt from Desmond Lee's translation of the Timaeus. But because Donnelly's work has most often been relied on as the source book of Atlantis location, we will also represent that translation where it conflicts with Desmond Lee's interpretation. So he just basically going to, correlate what each one is saying right now. All right. The legend of Atlantis concerned a people who dominated the world in the Golden Age, when men fearlessly navigated the great oceans and lived in harmony with the gods. Okay? Same thing they say with Thoth and all, the great gods, the great people. In the Timaeus, and again, in the unfinished creation, Plato told the tale of Atlantis, a tale creations learned from his grandfather, who had learned it from Solon, a prominent Greek statesman and historian who had visited Egypt in 590 BC. Okay. Solon, in turn, learned the tale from priests who held access to secret libraries and who told Solon about earlier times and events known to them. They told him of many different calamities that had destroyed mankind, and they told him of the Deucalion and Pyrrha, descendants of the first man, and how they had survived the first flood. Solon was anxious to hear details of this great era and of any heroic doings by his remote ancestors. The priest obliged him with a story of a war fought by the ancient Athenians against a great power from across the Atlantic, from the Timaeus. All right. So here we go. All right. There is in Egypt, said Creations, at the head of the delta where the Nile divides, a district called the Saitic or Saitic or Saitic, or however you want to say it. The chief city of the district from which King Amasis came is called Sais or Ses. The chief goddess of the inhabitants is called in Egyptian Neith. In Greek, according to them, Athena. Okay. And they are very friendly to the Athenians and claim some relationship to them. Solon came there on his travels and was highly honored by them. And in the course of making inquiries from those priests who were most knowledgeable on the subject, found that both he and all his countrymen were almost entirely ignorant about antiquity. and wishing to lead them on to talk about early times, he embarked on an account of the earliest events known here. It says, telling them about Phoroneus, said to be the first man, and Niobe, and how Deucalion and Pyrrha survived the flood and who were their descendants. It says, and trying by reckoning up the generations to calculate how long ago the events in question had taken place. And a very old priest said to him, O Solon, Solon, you Greeks are all children, and there's no such thing as an old Greek. Mm. All right. What do you mean by that? Inquired Solon. You are all young in mind, came the reply. You have no belief rooted in old tradition and no knowledge hoary with age. And the reason is this: there have been and will be many different calamities to destroy mankind, the greatest of them by fire and water, lesser ones by countless and other means. It says, your own story of how Phaethon, the child of the sun, harnessed his father, course and so burnt up things on course and so burnt up things on the earth and was himself destroyed by a thunderbolt, is a mythical version of the truth that there is at long intervals a variation in the course of the heavenly bodies and a consequent widespread destruction by fire of things on the earth. All right. On such occasions, those who live in the mountains or in high and dry places suffer more than those living by the rivers or by the sea. As for us, the Nile, our own regular savior, is free to preserve us in this emergency. When, on the other hand, the gods purged the earth with a deluge, the herdsmen and shepherds in the mountains escape, but those living in the cities in your part of the world are swept into the sea by the rivers. Here, water never falls on the land from above, whether then or at any other time, but rises up naturally from below. This is the reason why our traditions here are the oldest preserved, though it is true that in all places where excessive cold or heat does not prevent it, human beings are always to be found in a larger or smaller numbers. Say, but in our temples we have preserved from earliest times a written record of any great or splendid achievement or notable event which has come to our ears, whether it occurred in your part of the world or here or anywhere else. Whereas with you and others writing and other necessities of civilization have only just been developed when the periodic scourge of the deluge descends and spares none but the unlettered and uncultured, so that you have to begin alike children in complete ignorance of what happened in early times. Okay, so these genealogies of your people, of your own people, which you were just recounting, are little more than children's stories. All right.
Yep.
He's just breaking it down like, and this is coming from the perspective of, a place in Greece. You see what I'm saying? So, well, if you want to say Africa, whatever, I don't know at the time that what they may have been calling that area. But you can tell this is an old story because I ain't never heard of none of this shit.
They were calling it Libya in their time.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, he basically letting them know, everything they done been told is just some childlike story, just like how we was told about Santa Claus, how we was told about everything. I mean, even really the Bible story is a basically watered down version of our people's stories, man. And this is what goes to show, you do have to go and see and get with certain people that know these things to actually get the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take actual face to face and actually getting within a culture or maybe stand somewhere for a few days to actually get the real stories from their people's point of view or your people's point of view. You see what I'm saying? And this is what matters, man. You got to get it from the source's mouth, or either they got some type of tablet or some type of records or whatever. That stuff, that's just what it's about. Anything you want to build on with that, Corey Mayo? Because he basically just broke down how they just didn't know nothing, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they were just hearing it. There's stories that were being passed down to them. And why would the Egyptians have these stories? You got to think about that. And of course, because ancient Tamari was over here.
That's right.
I wanted to just share something real quick. Hold on.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Quick.
So, you see my screen?
All right. There you go.
Okay. So this is Lake Atitlan. All right. So first, if you know how Greeks talk, in Latin and Greeks, they always add like these things at the end, like the TIS. That's a Greek thing. So if you grab this word Atitlan and you change it to Greek, it'll become Atitlantis. All right. The ATL, what you were saying earlier, that's a Nahuatl word. All right. So let me just, like, for example, this right here says Atitlan means between the waters. The whole Americas is between waters. We got the Pacific and the Caribbean, the Atlantic, all that is surrounding us, even the little islands. All right. So in the Nahuatl language, ATL is the word for water, and Titlan means between. All right. So that's what the Greeks were basically saying. They were just grabbing our word and, adding their TIS to the end. All right. So I just wanted you guys to see that these things exist. They hear these words, not just like in, South America, or just they're all over. We have things like Aslan, Atatlan. We have that in North America too. This lake is called Amatitlan. All right. Now I just want to share. Hold on. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share a book that we've gone over before.
Yeah. Do you think?
All right. So you see it?
Hold on. Let me get it. All right.
All right. So we've gone over this book. Is the Ancient History or Annals of Kentucky, with a survey of the ancient monuments of North America. This guy goes in pretty deep. Like, it's not just about Kentucky, but he gets pretty deep. So right here, real quick, just want to show ethnology and philological table of the primitive nations and languages. All right, so it says here, America. Now, the first one, it says Atalan or Kutan, Atalan. All right, we're going to read about them, the Atalan people. And I thought this was interesting. If you go to root of water, right here, it says Heya, Ha, or Ahua. Like in Spanish, water, we say agua, 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 agua.
Yeah.
All right. And so I thought that was interesting. You can
yeah.
This. All right. So it's telling us that the eastern branch of America is Arawak, Atilan, Caribbean, Tamana, Guarani, Brazilian, Muisca, Araucanian, and Peruvian. All right. Let me just get to the part with the Atalans. So it says the Atalans, right? Just get it. Hold on. It says, after the Noachian revolution, or Noah, whatever, of nature, mankind was spread again over the earth from Iran or Arab, Meru, Shinar, or Kashmir, different names given to the islands of Asia. Now, the very first thing I want to point out is that these guys, at the time they're writing these books, they're still coming with the out of Africa theory, even so they're trying to explain how people got over here, even though he's going really far back, They try to always put them away from like originating here. Now, let me see what I got. Says here, the nations which peopled the western shore of the eastern continent were the Gomerians in Europe and the Atlantis in Africa. The Atlantis formed a powerful empire in North Africa, which gave laws to many nations. So we know that the North African was an actual colony. We've read that, and even in Plato's accounts and in other accounts, even the Masonic books will let you know that was a colony of Atlantis, and yeah, they were there too. All right, let me get to a part. I had a good part here.
That's right.
All right. Okay, it says the Atalans or American Atlantes, right, spread themselves through North and South America in the most fertile spots, but the marshy plains of Orinoco, Marañón, Paraguay, and Mississippi, as well as the volcanoes of Peru, Chile, Quito, Guatemala, and Anahuac, preventing them from settling those parts of the continent. Many of the subjects of the Atlantic Empire, such as the Tubalans, Cantabrians, Cyclops, and Cunetans, followed the Atalans in America and become the Kutan nations. It is very difficult to trace the American nations who have sprung from those early settlers, owing to the numerous revolutions and intermixtures which they have undergone. Nor it my intention to give now complete genealogy of the Atlan or Kutan nations. So he's going to confine himself to North America and Kentucky. Now it says the Allegheny Mountains were called Loka Loka. Beyond them, the country was called Great White Land, Mahaweta, Bhumi, and Hind. And it became the seat of a great empire, or the Western Atlantic Empire. This included, of course, Kentucky, but extended from the Lake Ontario in the north to the Mississippi. All right, so all that area is what you would call their empire, right? We know that that's all full of mounds. The Atlantic shores called Locuda or La Cacuda were not settled onto their arid soil. So this is way back. He's going way really back. We're talking about that even in Guatemala and all those areas, the volcanoes were still very active, so it's hard to be there. And that the East Coast, we know the East Coast. Like if you guys ever studied what people say about how the East Coast of the U.S. looked like before, and that part seems to have been underwater at some point. A lot of it, we can still see traces of that. So he's letting you know that part was still not able to settle owing to their arid soil largely emerged from the sea. See, this Western Empire may be called the Atalan Empire. All right, so it's the country watered by the Ohio and its branches was the center of the Atalan Empire. All right, Ohio is a very important place. I got future videos coming out on that. And it might be even the mythical Tulan or Aslan, the original, because even when the Mayas and Quiches talk about it, they came from Atalan or Aslan. They even say that they were somewhere else before that. All right, so instead of Asia, I'm seeing actually it coming from Ohio. And even if we saw UB News video when he did the whole Tower of Babel, he saw some evidence up there in Canada, Acadia, and then we know Canada, Canaan. Even with Brother Sanchez talking about the Garden of Eden in the middle, right in the Arctic, it's starting to make all sense, right? It seems like they came down here. They came to the Americas. They didn't go anywhere else. This was the land that was out of the water. There was more land over here.
That's right.
So we got Ohio seems to be a very, very significant spot. We got the Indian Knoll there. They found, it's very old, and there's a place called Seven Caves Park. There's an actual place called Seven Caves in the Quiche records. Anos, the Mayas, the Aztec, they all say they came from 7 caves or 7 cities, and so you can just correlate that. So I just wanted to point that out as I read this, because it mentioned Ohio. All right, so it says it was divided in several provinces and ruled by a powerful monarch of the Atlas family. So Atlas, right? We know Atlas was the son of Poseidon. And we've already broken down how these what they call Phoenician gods, Atlantean gods were the same, and how it became eventually the ones they started, worshiping and for Babylon and the Greeks and all that. They just changed their names up. But this is, again, an ATL, a Nahuatl word. ATL is a Nahuatl word. It's not Greek. They just added the TIS at the end.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlantic monarchs of Africa, Europe, Atlantida, and Atala. All right, so 2 different so we have ones in the islands. We have in South North America. We have different empires of the Atlantes. Often contended for supremacy, and the Atalan emperors obtained it once. Their dominion extended from Atala to Syria. You see that? All the way to Syria. They were repulsing Greece and Egypt. The African emperors were acknowledged generally as Lord Paramounts, but they resided in Europe as often as in Africa. All right, so not just in Africa, and had to contend against the Titans, a branch of their family reigning in the Alps. All right, so again, we're not going like word for word, like we're not believing everything this dude's saying, but he has some correlation that we can dig on.
Right.
It says an intercourse was kept up more or less regularly between all primitive nations and empires from the Ganges to the Mississippi. All right, so he's saying that the Ganges is today what they teach us is on the other side of the world, like near Iraq and stuff. So he's saying there was empires that were connected, trading, conducting business, whatever they were doing, invading each other, warring, all that, from there to the Mississippi. Now look at this, it says Krishna or Hercules. So this guy's saying that Krishna is Hercules. All right. Krishna or Hercules and Ramachandra, 2 heroes of India, visited Atala. They're talking about over here. They came over here in the court of the Western monarchs, which is called one of the heavens on earth by the holy books of the East. So when you reading all these books from Babylon, Assyria, and all these ancient texts, and they're talking about the heavens on earth, they're talking about Atala, they're talking about America.
That's right.
Earth. All right. The Atalans were civilized like the Atlantes, lived in towns, built houses of wood, clay, and rough stone. They worship the sun, moon, and emblems of the deity. Well, we don't know that. That's its interpretation. And built them circular temples. They knew geometry, architecture, astronomy, glyphic signs or writing, the use of metals, agriculture. They had public games. All right, we know that. I got a future video coming up on all the sports and recreations that were invented here. It's basically almost all of them.
Right.
About, people, a lot of you guys know, a lot of you guys mentioned the dice, of course. We got chess, everything started out here. I'm going to show you guys that. So this stuff, this is the legacy that we left other nations, and that's why they say Egyptian and history and all that is a legacy, because it got picked up by people and brought over there, but they don't explain the whole origin about it. How did you guys learn how to build pyramids? How did you guys develop language? They don't show that ever. And then when you come on this side, you start seeing all that, right? You start seeing all that. Like AP was saying, their food was flesh, fish, fruits, roots, and corn, which they brought from the east. It says, at the time of their highest prosperity, a dreadful convulsion of nature happened in the Atlantic Ocean and other parts of the world. All right, so that's what we were talking about earlier, which is recorded in the oldest annals of many nations, the Hebrew, the Hindu, Chinese, Mexican, Greeks, Egyptians. It appears to have been occasioned by simultaneous eruptions of volcanoes and earthquakes, which sunk, destroyed, or convulsed many islands and countries, among others the Atlantic land, all right, of which the volcanic islands of the Azores, Madeira, Canary, and Cape Verde are the remains. So if you know these places, they're like off the west coast of Africa. These are the mountaintops of what was a large land of Atlantis, or part of what was connected to us. All right, and those are what remains. And many scholars have said that. Many know that's like even in the Cape Verde, I know so many Cape Verdeans, they got 10 islands, right? The Cape Verde is made up of 10 islands. These are the top of volcanoes. One of the islands is called Fogo, or Fire, Fogo. So I believe it's called San Anton too. But it's a volcano. It's basically a volcano. The whole island is volcano. So this is the top of a mountain. This is the top of a volcano that's still up there. Now it says, in America, the Antillean lands were severed. All right, so something happened here too, The Carib Islands formed, all right? So the Caribbean was formed due to what happened? The Atlantic shores inundated by awful tides, and many countries sunk or altered. Altered, not just sunk. So altered, meaning they're still here, they're just a little different. This cataclysm is the division of the earth under the Peleg, the flood of, all right, so if you guys don't know who Peleg is, now in Bible story, right, or Bible history, so we got Eber, right, where they said the Hebrews came out of, or where they get the word Eber, which the etymology and in the Hebrew context, it means pinion, which is feather. Eber or Hebrew just means somebody who crossed over, or people living on another side, or beyond the river, or on the other side.
That's right.
What Hebrew means. It's not a religion. It's not like how they teach us today. All right, so this guy Peleg, so in the Bible says that in the days of Peleg is when the earth was divided. So this is what this guy's talking about. So this cataclysm is the division of earth under Peleg. So that he's saying that this is what's referenced in the Bible. The flood of Ogigis or Ogug, all right, that's another tale, and he's talking about the same thing. The Sanskrit convulsion of the White Sea, and even in the Hindu text, right? This is the same story, or Atlantic Ocean. All right, so the White Sea in Sanskrit is basically the Atlantic Ocean. They called it the White Sea. That's what he's letting you know. The terror occasioned by this phenomenon interrupted the intercourse between Europe and America. All right, so then that's when the division or separation came. And for many, years, they weren't able to come over here. And I'm glad you're reading about Plato, because even when Plato, or any of these Greeks, all of them actually, when they start telling about Atlantis, they'll let you know straight up that during the time of Atlantis, the Atlantic was navigable. All right, meaning that they couldn't navigate it during their time.
Right.
They couldn't cross it, and he tells you straight up that it was like full of mud and all that, and then it was impenetrable. So obviously, after whatever happened, there was a lot of debris and all this mud and all that in the Atlantic, and they couldn't get over it. It was like there was like a barrier. These people had a barrier; they couldn't get over here. Right? We were kind of like, for a while, protected from these people. Like they couldn't get over here. All right, we were kind of separated, you know, whether you want to call that divine or just an accident, a catastrophe. It's fact that they weren't able to go over here. It's written in many of their accounts. They tell you straight up they couldn't navigate the Atlantic in their time. But during the wars of the Athenians and the Atlantis, it was navigable. That's their history. This is all over their accounts. It says the Eastern Atlantis thought that the whole American continent had sunk. All right, they thought. All right, they thought the whole American continent had sunk, like the Atlantic and many Atlantic islands, and the Atlantis of the interior of America became insulated and separated from the Atlantic Empire. All right. So yeah, it keeps going. I don't know if you wanna. I just wanted to show that. I want to show that there's actually, because this book goes into the fact that the Olmecs, they start talking about the Olmecs and how they encountered these Atalans in the Mount area, and that the Olmecs weren't able to settle there because of that. So they had to keep moving, and that's when they ended up in Mexico.
Right.
Right. So it's not all the same people. Is what I want to point out. Yeah, we all had, you know, there's a common similarity in the complexion, you know, the hue and, you know, copper colored, and, you know, we're talking about so-called Negroes anyways. All these people, we're not talking about white people. We're not talking about any of that. But, you know, these are different nations. They were different people. So we can't just go off one history. Like if we just go off the Olmec history, we're leaving out the Atalans. So we're going off the Atalans history. We're leaving out the Olmecs, you know. So
right.
So we gotta see that this is a very big place, many different nations and peoples, and that's why we may disagree on certain things, because we're just going off one person's or one nation's perspective, and we gotta dig into all of them, you know,
right.
what they're saying.
That's exactly why we do this, man. That's why, you know, I'm glad it all formulate like it do, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we need them perspectives to tie these knots. You know what I'm saying? Because really nobody really ever be wrong. It's just looking at it, you know, in certain angles, or whether, you know, you keeping it on a level where, you know, is local, or you know, worldwide. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take all that in consideration. So I mean, you basically read another book that basically is saying the same thing that I just read in the Atlantis in America book.
Exactly. And these people never met each other. I don't think this guy even read this book. This is older, right? So for
Right.
So I don't think. Now man, there's so many books out there that are correlating the exact same thing, and that's my whole point about when I try to do these videos and show so many sources and books, so you can see that there's a common story, that there's a really, and then maybe with our oral history, our knowledge, because, you know, we had so much garbage put into us over the years. You know, we had to break some spells, and we have to like let go of certain ideologies and perspectives they were giving us, like the whole out of Africa theory, that was throwing us off, because we couldn't correlate any of this if we keep thinking out of Africa. We're like, oh, then how did this happen? Where did these people come from? Oh, it's all a mystery, you know. But you know, like,
aliens came and shit.
Yeah.
Then, you know, and talking about, you know, people came from different constellations and all this and that. And see, that ain't nothing but, you know, that's what the observatories were for. I mean, evidently we knew how to look at the sky and say, okay, well, this child is born through these type of constellations, or that child is born through this constellation at this angle. It got that technical. So for somebody to come in and hijack it and say, oh, well, yeah, these were beings that came down and made it with men and all this, like we gotta really start like let's just be real. Now, the force and energy of certain I would say, if you know, you would call it planets or stars or whatever, may have an influence for real. You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at astrology, it does give you key things that go on in your life that you can definitely relate to, depending on where your sun is at, depending on where your moon is at, depending on where Venus is at when you're born, Jupiter, Mars, Pluto, Uranus, Saturn. You know what I'm saying? If you really look into where those planets are placed when you are born, you will see why you have the behavior that you do. That's what I realized with it. Now, talking about trying to, control your life and give you a destiny. No, that's totally up to you because you got a soul, spirit, and mind that you can utilize to formulate all that. You see what I'm saying? So people just gotta put stuff in proper context and use it for what is the concept is. Now, me personally, like I say, I've been on that and that's what's been helping me, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot more to just knowing your charts and stuff like that. But it's about living too and having your own life experience. That's the main thing. Look at the people who don't know too much of anything, but yet are successful at what they do because they utilize their talents and they utilize what they gifted with. That should really be your religion. You see what I'm saying? That's really your religion. You utilizing your talents and your gifts. Some people can speak. Some people can write. Some people can dance. Some people can fight. You see what I'm saying? Some people can actually aim weapons. Some people can actually build. Some people can actually, repair. Some people can, heal you. Some people can close your cut back up. You know what I'm saying? Some people know how to mix herbs to heal you. Some people know how to mix herbs to feed you. It's just we all got a gift, and astrology does help you achieve that if you know what you're looking at. If you got a life chart or if you ever thought about doing it, it's worth it, and it's best for you to look at it yourself and be able to, get your own look at it. Yeah, ain't nobody got to know your chart. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody have to know everything about you, but it's best for you to know. And I wouldn't definitely, if I'm gonna let somebody else know, I'm gonna know myself also, so I can make sure they telling me the truth. You know what I'm saying? So it's just about really being activated, and so you can get the understanding of this type of information. If you ain't unplugged yet, you know what I'm saying? That's just what it is, man. But we can get back into this. I can read a little bit more real quick, man. I
Yeah,
ain't gonna hold
yeah,
it.
go ahead.
Let me get back right quick. Let me do this one. All right. All right. So, all right. So he told him. He said, "So these genealogies of your own people, which you were just recounting, are little more than children's stories." All right. So we got in Italian is that you remember only one deluge, though there have been many, and you do not know that the finest and best race of men that ever existed live in your country, and you and your fellows are descended from the few survivors that remain. But you know nothing about it because so many succeeding generations left no record in writing. Before the greatest of all destructions by water, Salome, the city that is now Athens, was preeminent in war and conspicuously the best governed in every way. Its achievements and constitution being the finest of any in the world of which we have heard tell. Salome was astonished at what he heard and eagerly begged the priest to describe to him in detail the doings of these citizens of the past. I would gladly do so, Salome, replied the priest, both for your sake and your city's, cut chiefly in gratitude to the goddess to whom it has fallen to bring up and educate both your country and ours. Yours first, when she took over your seed from the earth and Hephaestus, ours 1,000 years later. The age of our institutions is given in our sacred record as 8,000, and the citizens whose laws and whose finest achievement I will now briefly describe to you, therefore lived 9,000 years ago. It says, we will go through their history in detail later on at leisure when we can consult the records. Consider their laws compared with ours. Okay, it says, for you will find today among us many parallels to your institution in those days. First, our priestly class is kept distinct from the others as is our artisan class. Next, each class of craftsmanship, shepherds, hunters, farmers, performs its function in isolation from others. And of course, you will have noticed that our soldier class is kept separate from all others, being forbidden by the law to undertake any duties other than military. Moreover, their armament consists of shield and spear, which we were the first people in Asia to adopt under the instruction of the goddess, as you were in part of the world. All right, so y'all know, like I say, this is basically a story that basically is being told to the two scholars or whatever. And again, you see what great attention our laws devote from the beginning to learning, deriving from the divine principles of cosmology, everything needed for human life down to divination and medicine for our health, and acquiring all other related branches of knowledge. The goddess found this whole order and system, then she framed your society. She chose the place in which you were born with an eye to its temperate climate, which would produce men of high intelligence. For being herself a lover of war and wisdom, she picked a place for her foundation that would produce men most like herself in character. So you live there under laws I have described, and even better ones, and excel all men in every kind of accomplishment, as one would expect of children and offspring of the gods. All right, like you say. Okay, so among all the wonderful achievements recorded here for your city, one great act, uh, one great act of courage is outstanding. Our records tells how your city is checked a great power with arrogantly advanced from its base in the Atlantic Ocean to attack the cities of Europe and Asia. For in those days the Atlantic was navigable. There was an island opposite the strait which you call you say the Pillars of Hercules, an island larger than Libya and Asia combined. From it, travelers could in those days reach the other islands, and from them the whole opposite continent which surrounds what can truly be called the ocean. For the sea within the strait we were talking about is like a lake with a narrow entrance. The outer ocean is the real ocean, and the land which entirely surrounds it is properly termed continent. All right. So he basically saying that at one point in time it had a navigable uh, strait to it. On this island of Atlantis had arisen a powerful and remarkable dynasty of kings who ruled the whole island and many other islands as well and part of the continent. In addition, it controlled within the strait, Libya up to the borders of Egypt and Europe as far as Tyrrhenia. This dynasty, gathering its whole power together, attempted to enslave at a single stroke your country and ours, all the territory within the strait. It was then so long that the power and courage and strength of your city became clear for all men to see. Her bravery and military skill were outstanding. She led an alliance of the Greeks, and then they deserted her, and she was forced to fight alone. After running into the duress peril, she overcame the invaders and celebrated a victory. She rescued those. Hold on. She rescued those not yet enslaved from the slavery threatening them, and she generously freed all others living within the Pillars of Hercules. At a later time, there were earthquakes and floods of extraordinary violence, and in a single dreadful day and night, all your fighting men were swallowed up by the sea and vanished. This is why the sea in that area is to this day impassable to navigation, which is hindered by mud just below the surface that remains on the sunken island. Now, didn't you just say that, bro?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say, it's just, I mean, it's just about getting into it, man. That's why I had to read it. I didn't want to leave none of that out. So, you got to read certain things to actually see what it's saying. That was just basically like a story that they was given to the two scholars or whatever. All right. So now Donnelly's translation differed slightly from the italicized section above. Okay. And he says we're gonna cite a part of it. All right. So this is Donnelly's view. All right. That one was Francis' view. All right. It says these histories tell of a mighty power which was aggressing wantonly against the whole of Europe and Asia, and to which your city put an end. This power came forth out of the Atlantic Ocean, for in those days the Atlantic was navigable, and there was an island situated in front of the straits, which you call the columns of Hercules. And he called it the columns. See what I'm saying? And he said the island was larger than Libya and Asia put together, and was the way to other islands. And from the islands you might pass through to the whole of the opposite continent, which surrounded the true ocean. For this sea, which is within the Straits of Hercules, is only a harbor, having a narrow entrance, but that other is the real sea, and the surrounding land may be truly called a continent. All right.
Wow. Right there's the big because he's saying it's bigger than Libya and Asia, right?
That's right.
That's big. That's not just one little island. That's a whole continent. He's telling you that if you cross this big land, you get to the true ocean.
Right.
Right there, you're talking about the Pacific Ocean. Because like from reading a lot of correlation and stuff, it seems like when the waters were lower and we were more connected to Africa and Europe. It seems like it was just more like a river. The Atlantic was more like a river, that you had to cross to get over, and that there was a real ocean past this continent, this landmass right here. And again, you mentioned right there that he read that it was navigable. So what we were saying earlier.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? And that's from two different scholars right there. All right. So boom. He says there have been many translations of the Timaeus, but notice this sequence which invariably shows up. There is a named sea, the Atlantic, well known to the Greeks, and the source of the power that threatens the Greeks. All right. There is a second named sea, the Mediterranean, the sea which is within the Straits of Hercules, and it is described as only a harbor having a narrow entrance. All right. And there is a unnamed sea. That other is the real sea, ocean, and the surrounding land may be mostly truly called a continent. Okay.
Real continent.
Right. Okay. So it says if the Mediterranean is only a harbor, okay, so a harbor, boom. That's like, that's like going through, you know what I'm saying, like a lake or something.
Like the Hudson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It says then, and the Atlantic was the way to an island larger than Asia Minor and Libya combined.
Damn.
And a bridge to other islands. Says what sea could truly be called ocean, and what land could mostly truly be called continent. Okay, our answer is that the named sea is the Atlantic. The bridge or way to other islands is Mesoamerica. The other true ocean is the Pacific.
Go.
All right. Just said that. You know what I'm saying? So, and the true continent, seemingly not an island, is Asia. Okay. So he's saying that the true continent is Asia. Because actually the continent is Eurasia, though it may not have been understood then that Europe and Asia were in fact one continent, and by the Greek definition, an island itself being completely surrounded by sea. All right, so they saying that that's basically where you will find just land. You know what I'm saying? And it's not any island. Pretty much, it's all connected. You know what I'm saying? So it seems even then, the vastness of Asia prevented it from being called island. See what I'm saying? Although it truly is, but it did not prevent the ancients from recognizing the Americas as an island. Right? We must remember that the Greeks had no limitation of size in their definition of island. An island was simply a body of land completely surrounded by water, as the Americas most certainly are. More importantly, let me go down. More importantly, we must also realize that although the northern and southern extremities of the Americas were known to some ancient navigators, the precipitation of the many more who visited Poseidon and the ports at its heart in what we now call Central America were encountering a continent that, at places, divided great oceans by only a dozen miles. It is any wonder that navigators able to traverse a land by only a few days' portage would call that land island. That's the question. You know what I'm saying? Plato called Atlantis an island continent, and later re-emphasized that it may truly be called island, meaning that unlike Europe, Asia, and Africa, there is no land connected to another continent. Okay? They said there's no land connection to another continent. Says they're all one landmass, basically. You know what I'm saying? So Plato, writing in 347 BC, clearly put Atlantis as the far side of the ocean. That Plato meant some small island in the Mediterranean, like Manoa and Thera, is preposterous. Atlantis is described as being larger than Libya. Okay, says then define as all Africa west of Egypt and Asia. Say a term by which the Greeks meant Asia Minor and lands west of the Indus combined. Okay, so it made so this whole island, land island mass America was bigger still than all of that. You know what I'm saying? It says Thera, destroyed by an immense volcanic eruption in around 1500 BC, did possess many of the materially advanced characteristics attributed to Atlantis. Hot and cold plumbing, multi-story buildings with terraced gardens, and an active seaport among them. But on geographical grounds alone, Thera, now the small island of Santorini. Okay, that's a picture right there. Let me finish this right. Oh well, I'm gonna go back up. Said could hardly qualify. Yet the tiny island, only a few hundred miles off the coast of Greece, and well known to Greeks and Egyptians of the 6th and 4th century BC, has recently been posited as Atlantis. Similarly, small island groups from the Canaries off Africa to the islands off Scotland have been proposed as the true Atlantis. But there is no geological evidence that any of these islands were part of a continent-sized land any time within the last 100 million years. Okay? In fact, the evidence, plate tectonic theory, and sonar observations of the ocean floor included is all to the contrary. Okay, so he's saying all those theories is contrary to, basically this, Africa having Atlantis, or like they said, up there in Scotland somewhere was supposed to be Atlantis. And I actually heard somebody try to run that by me one time. I was like, you got to be out of your mind. You ain't done no research at all. So it says, how have so many people been misled to believe Atlantis was in the Atlantic and not across from it? It said Donnelly's translation that placed Atlantis in front of the straits must have misled many. The use of the term island must have thrown many others off, although Atlantis is referred to as a continent as well as an island, but island or continent and Atlantis larger than Libya and Asia combined simply could not have fit within the Atlantic. And that's true. You know what I'm saying? It says Libya was considerably smaller than what we know Africa to be, but so was Asia. It says as the extent of present Siberia was known, and the Americas and Antarctica were missing. All right. It says, thus Libya comprised about 20% of the Earth's surface. Plato's statement that Atlantis was larger than Libya and Asia combined cannot be interpreted as smaller, nor can opposite continent in reference to the Atlantic be interpreted as within the Atlantic, all right, or within the Mediterranean. So it says, even by limited parameters of Greek geography, Atlantis had to lie across the Atlantic. It could only have been the Americas. And we're going to go up and look at these figures. You know what I'm saying? Right quick, because we're going to go to figure C after that. But this right here is the Minoan civilization in the Mediterranean, has been associated with artistic bulls, sophisticated plumbing systems, elegant frescoes depicting great sailing fleets, seemingly vessels of trade, not war, says an appreciation of leisure and a women's equal role in society, and great palaces at Crete, 2100 BC. All right. Now, think about that. And it says, and depicted above in Mycenaean Greece, 1600 BC, that these small islands could have recreated aspects of Atlantis is probable. It says that they could have been the greatest island continent is absurd. All right. So this is the you know architecture, but it's basically saying that it's something we did, but it's in another, it's in Greece. You know what I'm saying? Like they said that our civilizations went from here to all the way to Asia. So
yeah. And I mean, Medicine Man showed great correlation on that, man, especially with these Minoans and these Cretes. Right. I mean, even the Iroquois, they're called Crete. The French called them Crete.
Yeah.
The Mohawk, that punk rock style, that thing, that the Europeans wear, the heavy metal guys with the Mohawk, how they got to put gel on and mad hairspray and shit. It's not even part of their their hair don't even do that. But anyways, that's called an Iroquois Crete.
That's right. And it's saying this one right here is evidence of an earlier civilization. It says has also been uncovered at Crete. The ceramic disc pictured below is made of a clay not found in the Eastern Mediterranean and displays hieroglyphs not yet deciphered. So they're saying that the clay is not there and the hieroglyphs are not deciphered. So if anybody have any type of writing or language or book that I gotta look myself that may look similar to these writings, man, I would love to know. I'm gonna look myself, but it look kind of. It looked almost. I can't really say. I can see a little of some type of Phoenician writing, but I can't really, because it's got actual art in it too. It's not just writing. I'm seeing.
Yeah, because before the Phoenician, what they call the Paleo, whatever, there was a pictograph. There's more ancient, which is it's more like images, more like pictos, right? It's less writing. It became writing eventually, but it was more about pictograph.
Yeah, that's what. That's why I say this. That looks more like a pictograph because I'm seeing like different, like figures and like weaponry and what I'm saying, just certain logos and stuff like that. That's probably representing, who knows what. Could be you know, could be some type of chart or something. Who knows? I don't know. Like they say, they don't even know. But they said that the clay doesn't even come from there. So, all right.
Are you? Would you like me to read something real quick?
Yeah, you can. You already know.
Are you? Yeah, we can come back to this. I just wanted to show a little bit more of Curly what you're reading. Let me see. So I found this. This is like things people could. All right, you see the screen?
Yeah.
All right, so I just found it. This is not, I'm just, trying to get because I have the old books that reference this, but I got so many, I don't know which book's in, but this book's called Survivors of Atlantis, Their Impact on World Culture by Frank Joseph. And it says here, modern researchers are supported in their conclusions about a dynastic race that delivered civilization to the Nile Valley from the distant west. The father of history, Herodotus. All right, so Herodotus is the guy they credited as the first historian, right? Like they give him the most credit. All right, and Herodotus, while traveling through 6th century BC Egypt, quotes the priest of Memphis as having said that their ancestors came from a land in the far west. And this is really quoted in many old sources, primary sources. Herodotus always quoting that the ancestors of the Egyptians came from the distant west and that these were the oldest people on earth. It says 200 years later, Manetho, an Egyptian priest writing in Greek, reports that the first civilized people came to Egypt with all the makings of a highly sophisticated society after a catastrophic deluge. All right, so you see this matches with what Thoth is saying about himself, in his Emerald Tablets. All right, the Greek geographer Diodorus Siculus, Manetho's contemporary, reports the Egyptians themselves were strangers who, in very remote times, settled on the banks of the Nile, bringing with themselves the civilization of their mother country, or the Mayak, right? Maya, the art of writing and polished language. They had come from the direction of the setting sun, or from the west, and were the most ancient of men. All right, so Diodorus is letting you know too that the ancestors came from the west of the Egyptians, and these are the real ancient people, the oldest ancient of men. He claims that the ancestors of the Egyptians came from Ethiopia, as described in chapter 2. The Ethiopian prince Memnon, who died defending Troy, was an Atlantean leader. All right, so this might confuse you a little bit here because that's on the east, right, or whatever. But I'm about to show you something. We were talking about it earlier. You know how the Greeks were referring to us here as the Western Ethiopians, all right? Because Ethiopia is not a place, right? It's really burnt face, or we're talking about complexion. We're talking about people of dark skin or hues. We're also talking about demarcation line past the Atlantic, a place past the Atlantic, all right? As described in chapter 2. All right, so I read that. Hold on. Ethiopia was synonymous with Atlantic North Africa. See, the Atlantic. It was synonymous with the Atlantic Ocean, just outside the Pillars of Hercules, all right? Or Atlantis itself, all right? Ethiopia was Atlantis itself, one of the Atlanteans, all right? It says, Urt, the celestial cow, symbol of birth from nothingness, was among the deities they brought to the Nile Valley. Her name means literally great flood. Chapter 175 in the Book of the Dead features a description of the event she personified. The earth was covered by the flood. All life was destroyed. Some virtuous humans did survive. However, their leader was Osiris, who was memorialized in the Osirion, located 26 feet behind the temple of Seti I at Abydos. Abdul. All right, so it's telling you know that Osiris is really from here, right, the west. A lot of people have seen a lot of correlation,
bro. I mean, okay, so you just said it. Okay, so once again, all right, we talking about stuff that's well described over here and even named over here, such as Israel, such as Mesopotamia, and now Ethiopia. And you mean to tell me all these names is on a whole nother continent now?
Exactly. That's they if you look at the all right, when was Ethiopia named Ethiopia, or when was India named India?
Right.
All this stuff happened recently, very recent, and we know from with the corn videos and stuff that Osiris was really a corn deity. Like even in Egyptian history, in their text, he's a corn deity. Him and Isis, they're corn deities. nourishment. And you can see the corn in the hieroglyphics coming out of his body. All right. And some have correlated that Osiris is the same as Cush, one of the descendants of Ham. And, we know the story that Cush and Ham and all them went over to Africa after the flood. Right. So this correlates with that. And, do these people really have real names? Were they, that's why was his name really Osiris first, other than Cush? But, whatever, if you don't believe in the Bible, it's okay. I'm just saying there's a general story you can pick up on this, and you can see they all start talking about people coming from the West, civilizing them and bringing that, And so you put all this together, and you see there's a pattern here. I have another book real quick, just to show what I was talking about, and this is called Prehistoric Structures of Central America: Who Erected Them, and this is from 1895. All right, now it says here, let me show. It says, let us look for a moment at some of the things which the ancient Greek and Latin authors have said, indicating their knowledge of the existence of a Western continent. All right. Crates, a commentator on Homer, is quoted by authority of Strabo, a very learned author of the century before Christ, as saying that Homer means in his account of this Western Ethiopians. All right. Just said it, right? Western Ethiopians, the inhabitants of the Atlantis or the Hesperides. All right, so the Hesperides, all these lands, because they called it the Hesperides, they called it the Antilla, the Great Antilla, Atlanteans. This was always in reference to the Americas. Hesperides, a lot of the Hispaniola, and even Mexico was referenced to as Hesperides by the Spaniards when they first came here. They were like, man, this looks like Hesperides. They described how they describe Hesperides. All right, so that's what I'm saying. We got to dodge the hide when we hear Ethiopia, because there was two in Greek times. There was the Western Ethiopians, and then there was the Eastern Ethiopians, right? So, and these were the inhabitants of Atlantis. And we already, Jaguar's been breaking this down this whole video. Who's the Atlanteans, man? Like, they're talking about us. That Greeks has always been talking about us. As unknown world of the West was then variously called. It was called. The unknown world of the West was then variously called what? Hesperides, all right? Atlantis, all that. So it says Pliny, another historian, right, says also locates the Western Ethiopians somewhere in the Atlantic. This shows that Crates and Pliny believed that the great poet Homer believed in the existence of a great continent on the western shore of the Atlantic Ocean. All right, and it's going to go over Plato again and the Timaeus we just read.
So go ahead. What year was this book published? Because I know some people, they're gonna say, well, no, Ethiopia, how is that? You know what I'm saying? Because they might not, this is an old, what year is that?
Well, this one's from 1895, but I have books from the 1700s that are already calling this Ethiopia too.
Right. Okay, then. I just want to clarify that, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. And now we got the story of Plato, which is called the Timaeus, right? The sea, the Atlantic Ocean, was indeed navigable. All right, it was navigable. When he's writing it, he couldn't navigate it. All right, he had a barrier. He couldn't come over here, and had an island fronting the mouth, which your tongue called the Pillars of Hercules. And we just read this, right? And this island is larger than Libya and Asia put together. Very big, very big. And there's a passage hence for travelers of the day to the rest of the islands, as well as from there to the islands to the whole opposite continent that surrounds the sea. Now, Humboldt wrote, like Alexander Humboldt, very one of their most sourced historians. When Europeans are trying to relate their whole history, they like to quote Humboldt a lot. And even in his book, if you really go into it, you notice all the stuff they leave out that he also said. They only quote what fits into their narrative, right? But he said so many things about the Americas, right? And he even told you that they found the Tower of Belus over here, an exact copy of the Tower of Belus described by Herodotus. So that means Herodotus was over here. All right. It says Humboldt quotes that Anaxagoras, who was born 500 years BC and was a most eminent Greek philosopher, speaks of the grand division of the world beyond the ocean. Aelian, in his Vari Historia, Book 3, Chapter 18, cites Theopompus, an eminent Greek historian, born about 300 years BC, as stating that the Meropians inhabit a large continent beyond the ocean, Amero, Mero, right? In comparison with which the known world was but an island. All right. So what they knew as the world was just a little tiny island compared to what was out in the Atlantic. All right. This is all stuff you can verify. These are all in textbooks. These are all in the history class. If you go to the history of the world, you know, you go to these prime colleges and universities. This is the what they're telling you, right? This is what's in there in those books, all right? This is the thing. We don't read them, and they don't ever quote these parts of the books to us. They just want us to focus on certain other things. Now it says Aristotle says in chapters 84 and 85, beyond the Pillars of Hercules, they say that inhabited islands was discovered by the Carthaginians. In my research, I believe the Carthaginians were actually from here, you know, what they call Phoenicians and stuff, which abounded in forests and navigable rivers. All right, we know we got forests and rivers and fruits of all kinds. What are we talking about? Distant from the continent, many days sail. All right. And while the Carthaginians were engaged in making voyages to this land, they were really from here, and some had even settled there on account of the fertility of the soil, the Senate decreed that no one thereafter, under penalty of death, shall voyage thither. All right, so they even had a law that was like, hey, yo, you can't go over there. Don't be going over there. This is they try to make it private. All right, they made a law. You can't go over there. Aristotle was born 384 years before Christ. Now says Diodorus of Sicily, who lived in the century preceding the Christian era, says in his book 5, 19 and 20, that it was the Phoenicians instead of the Carthaginians who were cast upon the most fertile island opposite of Africa. And again, when we talk about Phoenician, Enoch, Phoenicians, and we talk about people, where did they, all right, so they tell us that the Phoenicians came out of the Middle East or the Holy Land, Canaan, right? But Canaan was over here. So what I'm saying is that these Carthaginians, these Phoenicians are really from over here before they started navigating the world and going to the other parts of the world. They brought their so-called Paleo-Hebrew over there, and that's why they call it Phoenician or Paleo-Hebrew, because we were speaking that over here, and we were writing that here, and they found all that here, you know, all these symbols and stuff. There's nowhere in the parts of the earth. It was more, these things are being found more over here, all right? It says Phoenicians instead of the who were, all right, they were cast in a fertile land. You know, we know this is the most fertile land right here, where the climate was that of perpetual spring. Perpetual spring? Isn't California perpetual spring? I mean, where I live in Costa Rica, I live in higher up, and the capital is like 2,000 meters up or feet up. So it's like almost perpetual spring where I live, always like 70 to 80s all year round. And that land was the proper habitation for gods rather than men. All right, this is where the gods were. So they're talking about your ancestors here. All right, because who brought them knowledge? Who brought them agriculture? You know, corn. Who brought them language? Calendars, astronomy. What he was just reading, Jaguar. All right, so they called you the gods. All right. He speaks of the continent, however, at length and with great detail, enumerating its fertile valleys and navigable rivers, its rich and abundant fruits and supply of game, its valuable forests and its genial climate. All right. All right. So it's not too hot, not too warm. All right. This is the Eden. All right. Now it says Pliny quotes Thaddeus Sebosus in his volume 2, page 106, Bond as saying that the two Hesperides are 42 days sail from the coast of Africa. That's almost correlates with how long, you know, the Spaniards and all these people took to get over here. You know, about a month to 40 days, 30 days to 40 days. All right. So this is all you can verify. This is all quoted in these old books that are sitting in the libraries, you know, these big, thick textbooks, you know, of Pliny, Herodotus, Diodorus. Go into them now with this perspective. Like if you go read these books and you go with this perspective, knowing that they're talking about, you'll see all the jewels and you know that are in these books. You just got to interpret them a little different because they wanted us to think, you know, hijack views. All right. So I just wanted to read that so people can see that, you know, Ivan Sapp just put it in one book, right? Ivor or whatever his name, Ivan Sapp, but he's getting all this info from his research, and he did a really good job because he's adding so many other things that, you know, these people obviously never even knew, you know, like, you know, the whole, you know, like the spears and everything and the navigation, how it's pointing to Central America, and you know, even today, one of the biggest what do you call it, ports or whatever the ships go, that's in Panama. All right, and you know, that's since ancient times it was like that. They still keep going today. All right. So I just want to read that little part because it correlates with what we're talking about. So again, in their history, the Egyptians, they know, even if you read the Book of the Dead and all that, I have translations of that. And, they let you know that they always talking about the Western land. They always talking about to marry the beloved land, all that stuff.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we've been doing this on the Atlantis series. Like, this is what this series is about. Like, we show 2 or 3 sources or articles or whatever that go along with what these guys are saying, man. And we be presenting this stuff and share. I done shared this book with numerous Pan Africans, and they never mention it. They never mention the American Indian Encyclopedia. You know what I'm saying? The only thing they want to mention is, oh well, what language do you speak and where's your DNA test? You know what I'm saying? Them are the main 2 cop outs right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's just for people who still having to run into these clowns when they come on certain panels like with AP, or if you listen to Chief Holiday or whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is what we go through. You know what I'm saying? Because we keep up, and I don't personally try to tune into them guys, but when you see them attacking one of the brothers, or they trying to display something about Dane or whatever, man, and or just trying to basically disrespect what we say in regards to the facts that we basically done already shared with them. We've been sharing this stuff with them last year, man. Them guys already know what it is. So that's why I don't even try to tune into it. They don't need to debate these punks because they don't even try to really, like I said, they don't really want to get to the root of it. You know what I'm saying? They want to stay surface based. You know what I'm saying? They'd rather believe in stories, and it ain't worth it. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather just build with us, man. Let's get this
They're like
meat more.
vampires, man, because they're just like you're saying. There's no point in going debating. They're just trying to suck your energy, man. It's just they're trying to bring you down to a low vibration where they're vibrating. So it's like vampires to me. It's like because, like you said, if we've shared the info with them, we've put up the information, they just refusing it, and it's not healthy for us really to go talk to these people who are already made up their mind. Who knows why? Whether they're agents or whether they're just really that slow that they don't want to fucking see, or they're just holding on to something. But then that's just beliefs. So I mean, we're trying to know, man. We believed all our life. Like they had us believing and believing and believing, but we didn't really know shit. I mean, believing is not really facts. And like when you say I believe in this and I believe in that, I mean that's okay because that's a start. That means you wanna, if you believe in it, that means you might have a reason to go research it, right? So like I believe in this, so let me go see if it's real.
That's right.
And that's what we're trying to do, man. We're trying to put like factual things behind these myths, behind this history, behind beliefs, behind these mysteries. They say, like a lot of people might not agree with homeboy, but it was true. Like mystery, my story, right? Everything is a mystery when it comes down to your ancestors building things and doing things. It became a mystery, right? So that's my story, and history. That's his story, right?
That's true though. I mean, you gotta look at the wordplay on that. You know what I'm saying? That stuff matter. You know what I mean? That's why I try to choose my words carefully with y'all, man. I ain't here to speak no spell or try to get you to group up and go against everything that whatever somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like we just gotta realize that certain people is just in the way, and they really trying to establish what I call agentized programming to our people. But we out here, man, shattering it. Like I say, man, breaking the spells. You know what I mean? Taking off all calamities and catastrophic events that's going on with us mentally, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, we gonna if we gotta meet up in the back and put something together for everybody, man, we'll do that, man. But we would love to have good people that we could trust and really get with, man, to really start unifying us on a more physical level, man, to where I don't know, where we could set up maybe, you know, our own charter schools or whatever, man. Like really just implement certain things to, get going, man. It ain't necessarily even gotta just be about money all the time. It can be, you know, starting getting purchasing land just to grow food on. You know what I'm saying? Or just to actually build, you know, houses or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like really just it's time to get with it, man, you know. But it's something we just gotta do in the back. We can't be just putting all this on public air like that, you know, for everybody to know. That's why the conversations can only go so far. You know what I'm saying? We can only limit ourselves to so much when you know speaking on a public platform, you know, and you know giving people the right way to apply stuff because it's certain things you got to do, and you know, in order for people to actually, you know, you can't tell people what to do. Period. Especially when it comes to law and stuff like that, or how to do business. Really, it's just you know, like they say. I mean, it's just a lot. That's why you got to meet personally and get more. You know, we got to get more in getting on these phones and you know having conference calls. Whether we got to do it as men's group or a women's group or just a unified group, however we got to do it, man. Like it's just really about trying to do something together now. This is the year for it. You know what I'm saying? We gotta really make a stance, man. And, I
Yeah,
mean,
true. Yeah, I agree, man, and definitely. A lot of like people in the chat were talking about a map. This map right here is from um, narrative and critical history of the world. Um, these there's like mad volumes of these books. I pulled this image out of one of them, and this says Atlantis Insula, which means the Atlantis Island, and it got the whole basically Americas, you know, as Atlantis. Right. So there's a lot, you know. Do they know? Yeah, they know.
that's right.
And you know they've been keeping this from us, and they told you this is a new world. That fucked you up completely when they said this is the new world.
Yeah. Even with the story, even with them how they talk about the Mississippi Ocean, man. How most people you know that came across it never did. You know they thought it they described it as a sea. What story that was? One of them old, was it Mark Twain? One of them stories, them old story that they
Yeah.
describe basically Mississippi is like the sea. So it's like just certain things that you know we gotta really we gotta move around, man. It's all about moving around, man. You're not gonna get all your fruits in one barrel in one place. You know what I'm saying? Like fruit everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's water everywhere. So we gotta really start utilizing our bodies and utilizing our minds to start putting this type of work together, man, and start really just utilizing ourselves in business, law aspect, community. You know what I'm saying? Physically, spiritually, mentally. It's just we gotta get with it. Start with you and your family, and let's go on, man. But I'm ready now. I ain't playing. Like, hey, like you know what I'm saying? It's a few of us that do got each other numbers and stuff like that, man. And if we gotta do it on the back end or whatever, we do it on the back end. So, you know, if you got my email, I'm gonna put my email in the chat and shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Mrs. Bailey too, Grassroots Truth, Empress Copper Fox, Peace Supreme. Much respect, man. Y'all keep it going over there, man. Big Chief. You know what I'm saying? All the world is a stage. Ain't that the truth? You know what I'm saying? Big Chief, Peace King, Red Squid, Peace. Lady Judah, Peace Supreme. Scotty Saturn still in there with us, man. That's why I say, man, we in here rocking out, man. I'm probably gonna um let it loosen a little bit, man. Cause been on about 3 hours, man. I ain't been on in a while, so it's really been fun. I'm gonna have a whole lot more to bring forth next show, man. I just really wanted to vibe with the people, man, and pick up kind of where we left off with Atlantis and just give more of, you know, what we really need, man. Like I say, I'm for that. I ain't trying to waste no more time putting out information or stuff that don't matter. It's just about activation, man. Like I say, they using music, television, and people around us to keep us distracted and to keep us confused. You know what I'm saying? We gotta find a way that whether if we hurt or down or whatever, you gotta call me or whatever, email me. I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? And we can talk or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If I feel you real and you really, you know, for the people, and you know what I'm saying, we'll make it happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna, you know, sit here and be an asshole to nobody. You know what I'm saying? If I got time, you know what I'm saying, email me and we'll get it in, man. Other than that, any ideas to put something together, whatever. That's just what it's about. That's what we should be here for. You know what I'm saying? Every time, of course, it won't be the most best or situated time, but we just gotta make a way and start implementing it. We gotta just put our minds together to do it. You know what I'm saying? And just do it, man. It's really trying to unite up, man. Straight up. But if anybody got anything else they want to say, man, I'm gonna probably go ahead and close it down in a few. We pretty much did cover a good bit, man. Basically, just describing basically what you know Atlantis is, man. That's why I just call the series Atlantis now.
Yeah, I mean, at least historically, we know that it's been written about that there was a large landmass over here. A lot of the famous historians, whatever you think about them, these things are recorded in these libraries and these textbooks and their books. I mean, you can't erase that. You know, you can't say, oh, these people didn't exist or these people are not real philosophers. Either way, they wrote about what was over here. It's not just a conspiracy, how they brought us thinking, oh, this is a new age conspiracy or whatever. And nobody knows where Atlantis is. That's to me, that's so silly right now. Thinking about that. Like, what do you mean you don't know where Atlantis is, man? They're telling you straight up. Past the Pillars of Hercules and the Atlantic, 40-day journey on the ocean. Come on, like this is all recorded. So I mean, so past the like, I think this is Atlantis. I wish this was Atlantis. You know, we're not just saying, you know, we're not just assuming. We're you know, like Jaguar's been on this series. Jaguar's been so many references in books. You know, by now, like I said, like, you know, you got people like Garfield's talking about, like, just because you mentioned the word Atlantis, he takes you out of his bill, or they start calling you pseudo. But this is, come on, like I said, that's a Greek word. That's a Greek word, and you know, they were, you know, we have those words here. ATL is a Nahuatl word.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? So, and like I say, man, and a lot of people don't even be knowing them people anyway, man. They just on YouTube. They know how to say and title certain things to get in your algorithm and stuff like that. So, and a lot of us did come from listening to them type of people, man. But I never really even listened to him. You know what I'm saying? When I did listen to, look at Sonetta or whatever, I was mainly on SETI and I used to listen to Summer Brother Polite, but other than that, that was pretty much it for me, man. A lot of that stuff I already knew, it was just, some theory. A lot of it was just based on some institutionalized fraternity information. A lot of that stuff is pretty much a well organized lie. You know what I'm saying? So you can't call yourself an atheist, but you teaching theories, man. I mean, let's just be real about this here, man. It's just. I mean, it's just enough is enough, man.
Yeah, they address the so a lot of people here, this info kind of like it shocks them, it hurts them internally, like it kills them because they've been holding on to a certain belief, doctrine, that everything came out of one place, that everything started in one place. And when you bring stuff like this out, then you start saying, oh, Socrates was fake, oh, this dude was fake. Oh, so all of a sudden they're fake. But when they go with your narrative, talking about, if they start saying, well, everything started out of Africa, then they're not fake anymore, right?
Right.
Obviously, these people are you must be new to this info, and we challenge you to go back and especially in this series, go back, watch all the videos, go back to my channel, go back to A1's AP's channel. You see what we're saying, and so where is your proof? Where is your presentation so we can verify what you're saying? Where is that, and what's taken so long to disprove ours? Because we're just reading from real books. We're not reading conspiracy websites. We're not just reading from Wikipedia, and we're correlating different sources from different times, different people. All right. So you can say whatever you want. This is orally in us. The truth is in us. We're just using these books to correlate what we already know. And we're trying to show you. And even when we show you these primary sources, you're still practicing cognitive dissonance. You're still practicing that. All right. And you're not even realizing that. And it's okay. It's okay. Maybe you're not informed about certain things, but the whole thing is what I mean, especially what Jaguar just said. It was like, we're putting the info out there. Now it's up to you to go verify that. Go verify that. And if you find something significant to disprove all we're saying, all these fake scholars, as you call them, or whatever, fake people, they might have had different names. They could have been Indians from here, because we're talking about Greeks and Romans. Most likely were from here. Probably had different names, but whatever. They're all writing the same thing. And this is truth that we already know, that we have inside of us. And you can't take the ATL from us. That's a Nahuatl word. That's
right.
You can't. Whatever you want to say, whatever doctrine you want to hold on to, the whole world is about to find out, and the whole world is gonna know. And these scholars in these secret societies been known about this, and we've already shown this. We know that they teach that this is the old ancient real Egypt. We already know all this stuff. So where have you been?
That's right, man. I mean, sometimes that's why I say, man, maybe you gotta catch up on a lot more stuff, because it ain't just this channel. You gotta look at A1 channel. You gotta look at Corey Mayo's channel. You gotta look at Aboriginal Powers channel. Check out Con Drops.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Con Drop, UB News, UBTV.
You know what I'm saying? Dane. You know what I mean, you put all this info together. I mean, you can't take away from the bill, bro. I mean, shout out to Red Squid X, man. Ain't nobody, trying to throw shots, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just, we just trying to, make sure you on the same page, man. Yeah, it ain't nobody no dummy, man. Like, straight up, man. We ain't trying to block you or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just really, like, I mean, the info out here, man. You know what I'm saying?
If you make a statement, like if somebody makes a statement, you got to be able to back up your statement. Nobody's here debating or getting upset. We're trying to. I mean, like Jaguar just said, 3 hours, right? And now you're still in the back chat trying to disprove something. We don't need. We already got the facts. We're not debating this. This is not debatable.
But yeah, man, I ain't worried about that, man. Anyway, man, brother A1, man, you still with us, bro? You got anything you want to leave people with, man, before we jump up out of here? I don't know if you're still there or not. I know you was working out. He probably work out on still. But yeah, man. You heard, man. Much respect to the chat. You know what I'm saying? For people who come in and watch this later on, man. Hopefully y'all hit the bell, because I know they once you update, I know they added like a personalized bell or something like that. So, y'all make sure y'all go to, everybody's channel and hit your all notification bells, so you can get the live streams and uploads and stuff like that we do. Because I've been noticing, they done did a lot of changes to YouTube to, pretty much make it easier to get on to or whatever, man. So this StreamYard is easy. It's about the easiest thing I think to use as far as going live. But I know with with Zoom, you know, you can definitely have a lot more people going on with your live stream, whatever. But much respect, man. Huey P out there. Huey P, man, salute, bro. You already know, man. And you know, I wish you would have came in early. You know, you could have jumped in because I already know you know about the ATL and the water and the flowers and the fruit and the trees. You already know how we bees. You know what I'm saying? You be that dude though, man. You go to this channel, man. It's real unique. Them brothers build, man. They go strong, man. Like I say, it's a good bit of challenge that I keep up with, man. Lotus Television, man. Lotus been putting in that work. You know what I'm saying? Um, like I say, once again, you know, uh, A1 put me on Big Nick from South Florida. He's a good guy to watch, man, when it comes to this law stuff, man, in case you want to know how to utilize your rights. And it's kind of funny, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of it makes sense, and you know how to get it in with them, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Wanagi. Wanagi always posting the truth, showing you what's going on in his life and how things can be done and how we supposed to be getting it done. Salute to you, Wanagi. And Open Mihai, steady breaking down the North and South Carolina, pretty much the Catawba Nation people surnames and more surnames, and I mean, let's just keep going, man. Just keep going. Like it's gonna spread. We just kind of ahead of the time, man. Our children are gonna be able to.
That's true. It all helps, and each one, you know, us a little bit, you know, because a lot of, you know, people might not have the time to do like the genealogical work and all these surname stuff and history. Open Me does a great job with that. He doesn't just, you know, do the Catawba. He does so many different surnames, you know, in different areas, different states. And you know, this is information that might help you out in one of these videos that you never knew about your surname and your family and where they might originate. And the best thing about it, he's also showing census and real things to prove that it's not just like his opinions and stuff. So yeah, him and Wanagi, you know, doing their thing with that.
Word, man. Salute, man. I'm talking about, man. That's, I mean, like I say, man, it's just, you know, that's what people to be vibrating on, man. You know what I'm saying? When you want to know that type of stuff, man, when you get there, it really is a shortcut to give you, you know, as far as information to help you along the way. Not like a shortcut in life or anything, but just a shortcut to information. I don't mind giving no shortcut to any information if I can help anybody. And this is all we here to do, man. You know, I done studied a lot of information around the world myself, but it, you know, a lot of it always result back to the great lands, to here, to the top land. You remember, I don't know if anybody remember the show when the brother came on Chief Holiday channel and he was from India and he said that, you know, that India was at the bottom and America was at the top. Like America's at the top of everything. I mean, that just says a lot, man. When you don't know what it is and what's real, man. I mean, this is what really matters, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Copper Hot Step and Empress Copper Fox and the whole ICCC council, you know what I'm saying, man? I know they still be getting in. It'd be hard for me to catch their stuff, man, since I've been like doing stuff on the weekends and stuff, man. But you already know they getting in and putting it down, man, on real time with real information and bringing real solutions also, and just keeping us motivated over here. I do my best to keep them motivated. That's why I say I gotta stick with the doing the lives, even though they're giving us 20 hours. As you see, I done spent 3. So I'm down to like 17 and 45, you know what I'm saying? You know, so it is what it is, man. And just salute to everybody, man, even more channels, man. Like I said, of course, you know, current rock, man. I also like to shout out Dolo the pilot, man, because he came out, man. He one of the people that do astrology, man. He got a big channel, man. He actually Catawba himself, man. So he on the real and he really out here putting in the work on that level, man. And some of his information is pretty good, man. You got to keep up with him. He is a little speedster, and he don't mind, you know, overloading now. So it ain't like he overloading. It's just you got to be able to breathe and soak in and know a little bit what he's talking about. It's best to study it for yourself before you just try to get into it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just all about, you know, using what you can for people, man, and taking advantage of it. You know, use what works for you. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, you know, people out here, you know, in these streets or whatever, still, you know, it's really about over with anyway. It's too much money out here and too many ways that you can make money for you to come from a good, decent family or to have good parents and to be out here trying to really, you know, get money on that end when you got somebody that maybe can even help you, you know, start a business or start up you know, help you get a trade or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or help you be a musician or a great cook. You know what I'm saying? Or help you how to do hair or whatever, man. This is the type of stuff we have to start looking into because, of course, there. You know what I'm saying? You out there. It ain't the dude who had to do it because his parents is on the drugs that you selling is gonna always have an advantage over you. That's just how life is, man. So it's not about people just having certain experiences as if you just want to do it because you want to. No, it's just taking the right experiences in your life that's gonna lead you to the destiny that you know you want to live. You know, if you want to be a hero, learn how to really be a hero and really take care of yourself and your family around you, and then you can stand up and do that as a man or as a woman because your powers as you meditated on that is going to grow as long as you keep taking care of your responsibilities and really in a happy state of your mind. You know what I'm saying? That's just really all it is. Anything is possible with us, especially we come together, man. So like I said,
Give a shout out also to Ty. Ty, you know, Ty had been. I mean, he had a whole marathon with me, Tim, other brothers, and who does that? You know, who takes their time to make sure the stream don't fall. 24 hours. He had it. I mean, he's still going, man. It's only he is doing the 30-day. Who can do that? Like he puts in a lot of work. Whatever you think about him, he's about uniting really and getting this out. You know, whatever you know you think of him. Also, a shout out to Lotus, who you know has a lot of television, has a lot of info, and he's able to correlate a lot of what he says. You know, I've been able to verify that he has a lot of info. Shout out to a new breed. You know, a lot of people, you know, that you know actually grew up in tribes and have a lot of tribal history, and it's really it's great to be able to go to a new and be like, yo, have you heard of this? And have you ever heard of this? And like, you know, example, giants, right? Have you ever heard of the giants in tribal history? And he breaks down all the history, like from different tribes. So when we're saying we got this inner truth, this is already like in part of our oral histories and everything. And everything you can find in all these ancient mythology and everything, all these gods, it all leads back to a tribal story here. And it's so if you're into that, you know, make sure you know go support his channel, go look at the you know the folklore and everything that's coming out of here. He's probably got a lot more coming. So you know, props to him as well. And you know, it's not just you know this ain't just biblical or mythology or anything. It's, these stories existed here. You know, these stories existed before any of that.
that's right. That's right, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you know, with the whole, you know, Bible thing and all that, you know what I'm saying? If you really know, you know, some oral traditions, or if you've talked to a few people from some tribes or, you know, some nations that is indigenous to this land, or if you have done the proper research on actually, you know, discovering tablets and temples and monuments and pyramids and certain crops, certain trees. You know what I'm saying? Certain rivers and oceans. Uh, I'm pretty sure if you've done a good amount of research properly, you will find that a lot of correlation in that book is here in America. But the narrative and how things may be interpreted through what some preachers and most preachers and most religious faiths want to give to you is not the actual narrative and what the indigenous people intended it to be today. You know what I'm saying? So it's just we trying to put this back in a real life and real time perspective, man. So shout out to everybody in the chat. You know what I mean? Everything is real. Um, a new breeze. Salute to you, King, man. You already know, man. Ain't seen him in a minute, man. Warren Davis, man. Salute, man. I see he got a verse right here. It says this is biblical. Joshua 15, chapter 15, verse 12. Okay. It says, and the west border is to the great sea and the coast thereof. This is the land promised to the tribes of Israel and Judah. The great sea is the Pacific. Yeah, that's right. That's right, man. That's right, man. You see what I'm saying? So it's just all about being able to, you got to describe where it's at. You know what I'm saying? So if the Pacific is west of this land, you see what I'm saying? Then the land is promised. You know what I'm saying, to the Israelites. You know what I'm saying, the tribe of Judah or whatever. Well, the land of Shem anyway. You know what I'm saying? If you want to look at that on that type of level of topic, but either way, it's just about being able to correlate it. And if you can relate, then you can relate, man. I don't try to tell nobody what to believe or how to think as far as when it comes to their life. My thing is, how can we get together and do some good business or do some type of unity where we can help each other physically, mentally, or spiritually, man? That way, that's just period. That's just all I'm for. So salute to everybody in the chat, man. Salute to everybody that came on the panel. Salute to you, Corey Mayo, man. We're gonna definitely get back into the Atlantis bill and many more books like we was doing just to keep, people on everything that really is missed out and left out of this educational system, man. We trying to get a brand new curriculum started, and it's basically working almost. So
that's what's up. Yeah, definitely. I want to, definitely say if anybody took wrong what I said, I want to apologize personally to Red Squid X. I didn't, I don't mean to come at anybody like that. I obviously don't know you personally, so I don't know what your background is with the info. So I just interpret what I saw, and I'm passionate about this. It's not coming at you directly, so I don't want you to take it like that. And I apologize if you do, and if you took it like that. It's not my intention. I just really want, like what I'm trying to say is when we make statements, we got to really like show us the info so we can verify it. Like we know that it's something funny in history and that a lot of these personages are made up. But we're really most talking about the info and how it correlates all together, the different sources and stuff. So I definitely apologize for that. And Jaguar, thank you for having me on, man. And yeah, I missed those builds, man. They were power builds, and there's so many books we still got to go through. So yeah,
that's right, man. We got over probably like 1,000 now. So I'm talking about I'm going through the library now. I'm like, man, it's like I want to read everything, but man, I wouldn't have time to do nothing. So we really just, appreciate when we can get everybody on or whatever, man, and really attribute to the bill, man. And much respect to you, man. Much respect to A1, AP. You know what I'm saying? Cut Drop, Medicine Man, Dane Calloway, Chief Holiday. You know what I'm saying? Alquan out there. You know what I'm saying? Trip. We see you out there. J Freeway. Salute, dude. You already know, man. J Freeway be what's in the back, man, helping us on law and stuff like that, man. He assists us with that, man. It ain't like he's a lawyer or nothing, but we all build together and study it together. So, and salute to Coda Bay, man. A1 been sharing stuff with me that he got from him. I gotta help man hop in on their bills also. You know what I'm saying? Salute to everybody, man. Like I say, man, if I left you out, I apologize. I just trying to keep it moving, man. I ain't trying to be rude. I'm just out here, trying to unite us all, man. So much respect to us all and much love, man. And peace out, y'all.
peace.